to Fox News.
From around the world,
Trey Yingst joining us from Tel Aviv, Israel.
to Washington,
I'm Mike Emanuel.
to your own backyard. If a story impacts you or your wallet, we're on it. It's the Fox News Rundown. We give every story the deeper look it deserves with must-listen interviews and smart analysis from the voices you can trust. Start your day with the Fox News Rundown. Listen and follow now at foxnewsrundown.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
Hey, this is Trey Gowdy, host of the Trey Gowdy Podcast. Every Tuesday, you'll hear what's on my mind. Plus, every Thursday, there's a special bonus episode where we answer the questions that are on your mind. Make sure to spend your Tuesdays and Thursdays with Trey. Subscribe now at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you download podcasts. Hope to see you.
America's listening to Fox News.
While the U.S. military remains on standby in the Middle East in case President Trump resumes bombing, War Secretary Pete Hegseth focuses on a different type of warfare, cyber.
Secretary Hegseth said the military is launching a program called Cybercom 2.0.
That ensures our cyber power is a lethal and ready weapon of choice.
Hegseth says every military theater relies on cyber to operate in the modern age.
Air, land, sea, and space depends on our cyber superiority. By forging expert cyber forces with deep technical mastery, we ensure that commanders have the capabilities that they need to dominate the modern battlefield.
He adds that cyber personnel are not just support, they're warfighters, making necessary changes.
And settling for the status quo, well, that's a direct path to failure.
Kevin Ureski, Fox News.
Oil prices are up slightly this morning, while on Wall Street stock futures are mixed, down for the Dow, up for the NASDAQ after losses on Friday. At the movies, Spider-Man still king of the box office.
What is happening to me? Did you miss me, Spidey?
Spider-Man Brand New Day, number one, a third straight weekend, taking in another $70 million. Globally, ticket sales now top $2 billion. In golf, it's down to 50 players left in the FedEx Cup playoffs.
Scotty Scheffler, best player in the world, number one on the points list, and now proud winner in Memphis.
Domination. Scotty Scheffler runs away from the field in Memphis.
That was CBS on the call of the final putt of leg one of the PGA Tour playoffs. Scheffler wins by 8 shots over Siwoo Kim. For Scheffler, it's win number 21 of his career.
That's Fox's Jay Berman. There are 2 more tournaments left in the playoffs. The winner in the final gets a $10 million prize. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Since 2007, Folds of Honor has awarded nearly 73,000 educational scholarships, over $340 million to the children and spouses of America's fallen and disabled military heroes and first responders. This year alone, 7,700 qualified applicants didn't receive funding, not because they didn't deserve it, because resources ran out. You can change that. On Saturday, September 12th, you're invited to an exclusive VIP concert experience at a private estate in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, featuring Gary LaVox of Rascal Flatts and the Swan Brothers, benefiting Folds of Honor. This is an intimate evening with incredible live music and an even more incredible cause. Tickets are limited, and if you own a business, this is your chance to put your brand behind something that truly matters. Honor their sacrifice. Educate their legacy. Make lifetime memories. For tickets or business sponsorship opportunities, visit foldsconcert.com. That's foldsconcert.com. Saturday, September 12th. Don't miss it. foldsconcert.com.
With so much financial uncertainty, are you wondering if your retirement savings will last? The market ups and downs can keep you guessing, especially if you're approaching retirement or considering it. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Nolan Webster. If you have more questions than answers about what's next, let's work together to help ensure you're prepared for your journey. After all, retirement isn't the end of the trek, it's a new beginning. Stop by our office in Palatine or call 224-801-6107. That's 224-801-6107. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Perhaps you're a collector, or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions with their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions. They have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. A furor erupted in the WNBA recently after Indiana Fever player Sophie Cunningham called it common sense to ban transgender athletes from competing in women's sports. The league's collective bargaining agreement says that only women are eligible to play in the WNBA, but never defines what a woman is. The commissioner calls the issue nuanced, while the Players Association calls for diversity and inclusion. Now they're being taken at their word. Two former NBA players say they'll declare for the 2027 WNBA draft, exposing the absurdity of rules that refuse to acknowledge biological reality. The WNBA has brought all this on itself. It's time to define woman or risk sidelining female athletes in the league created specifically for them. There's nothing nuanced about protecting women's sports. It requires only courage, clarity, and plain common sense.
Larry Elder doesn't see the math working out.
Something I've been saying for a long, long time about the rise of these Democrat socialists, even before that, about the dominance of Democrats in general. Now the Democrat Socialists of America have won primaries and elections based on, wait for it, affordability, a crisis that their policies have caused.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's August 17th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today's Black Cat Day. In Celtic mythology, they were a sign of good luck, but in medieval France and Spain, black cats were considered bad luck and a curse. To a human, they came near. Also on this date, in 1978, the Double Eagle II completes the first transatlantic balloon flight when it lands in a barley field near Paris. 137 hours after lifting off from Presque Isle, Maine, the helium-filled balloon flew 3,233 miles during the 6-day odyssey. A hurricane barrels into Galveston in 1915, carrying with it winds of 130 miles per hour, leaving 275 people dead. In 1933, New York Yankees legend Lou Gehrig plays in his 1,308th consecutive game, breaking the record held by another Yankee, Everett Scott. Born on this day in 1943, multiple Academy Award winner Robert De Niro. I'm CJ Pompa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
For over 40 years, the Heartland Institute has stood for the ideas that built this country. Free markets, limited government, and individual freedom. Now you're invited to celebrate that legacy in person. Join Heartland on Thursday, September 3rd for their 42nd anniversary benefit dinner at the historic Palmer House Hilton in downtown Chicago, one of the city's most iconic addresses for over 150 years. This year's keynote speaker is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who has led Florida through 2 terms of record economic growth, making it one of the fastest growing states in the nation. The evening kicks off with a reception at 5, dinner at 6, an evening of great company, great conversation, and a shared belief in the principles that made America exceptional. Seats are limited, and they will go fast. Reserve yours today at benefit.heartland.org. That's benefit.heartland.org. The Heartland Institute's 42nd anniversary benefit dinner, September 3rd, Palmer House Hilton, Chicago. Don't just believe in freedom, celebrate it.
All right, I'm so excited I can golf on our golf outing. And the reason why I can golf is because of Virago. Yes, I even called Dr. Huber the other day and said, I don't know what's going on. I've had shoulder pain for a year. I did not want to have surgery. Don't have time for downtime at all. So I called Dr. Huber and said, what's going on here? This is the only thing I've been doing different. And he said that Virago is an anti-inflammatory. So a lot of pain is associated with inflammation. So swelling's gone. I could use my shoulder again, and I will be golfing. But here's what you do. Virago is so much more than an anti-inflammatory. It's an antioxidant. It has nutrichemicals working together in synergy. And it even protects your heart, kidneys, and liver. And because it's liquid, folks, your body absorbs it quickly. I mix my Virago in with my orange juice. You can put it in smoothies, and you will feel the difference. Trust me. So order your bottle of Virago today at myvirago.com. That's myVirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. myvirago.com, coupon code IMMUNE.
You've worked hard for everything you have. Your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. Choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.
Then we thought, what if something happens to him?
Or what if the kids can't agree? We've seen money tear families apart.
We called Home State Bank, and I wish we'd done it sooner. Home State Bank serves as trustee or executor for families across Northern Illinois, stepping in as the professional, impartial manager of your estate so your family doesn't have to carry that burden. They don't take sides, and they'll carry out your wishes exactly as you intended. Take the first step today by calling 815-459-2000 to meet with a trust officer face-to-face. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Home State Bank. Hometown professionals working together to build a stronger community since 1915.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and last year I hired Level 10 Coatings to give my garage floor a total makeover, and I am loving it. It still looks great, shiny, and clean. Level 10 Coatings. Now, you've got to call these guys if your garage floor is cracked, stained, still covered in salt. Don't live like that. Get it done now so you can enjoy it this summer. Level 10 Coatings. They're fast, reliable, and highly professional. Guess what? I went to work. When I came home, it was done. A shiny, new, gleaming garage floor. A quick, easy fix, and it's guaranteed never to chip or peel. Why? It's not an epoxy job. It's better. Level 10 uses polyurea, which is much better than epoxy. So schedule your free quote today and mention me, Amy, to receive $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com, or call 855-510-2628. Staff are local and ready to answer questions. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
For a lot of workplaces, the work week doesn't end on Friday. That's why there's EasyCater, the best way to order food from favorite restaurants for your hardworking team, even on weekends. With EasyCater, you'll find great options for any group size and any shift, with tools to help meet dietary needs, stay on budget, and simplify expenses, all backed by our award-winning 24/7 support. EasyCater, your Monday through Sunday workplace food platform. Start an order for your weekend crew at EasyCater.com.
Ice Cube's Big 3 season has come down to this. The Big 3 Championship is coming to Charlotte. Who will be crowned the Big 3 Season 9 champion? Plus the Big 3 All-Star Game, the biggest names in the game, all on one court, one more time. 2 games of the most physical, competitive, and non-stop 3-on-3 action. The game played the way you love. Watch live Saturday on CBS at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and catch replays Monday on BET.
Yay, yay! I'd like to tell you about a man named Phineas who as a child survived the Holocaust. Phineas survived because Christians hid him from the Nazis, risking everything to save his life. Today, Phineas is in his 80s. He can no longer stand on his own or even leave his home to receive medical care. And when sirens sound and missiles fall, he doesn't have the time or the strength to reach safety. But once again, Christians are helping to save his life. Through the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, a mobile clinic brings doctors and medicine right to Phineas's doorstep, providing care that he otherwise would not receive, especially during a time of war. Phineas said, "Christians saved my life during the Holocaust, and now again, they are helping me." As Israel's Holocaust Remembrance Day approaches, remember these precious children of God by lifting them up in prayer, asking for his protection, his comfort, and his peace. Stand with Israel in prayer by visiting supportifcj.org. That's supportifcj.org.
As families get ready for another school year, we're reminded that the best routines aren't built overnight. They're built by focusing on what matters most. And when it comes to dinner, that starts with quality meat. Get back to the basics with Good Ranchers. Good Ranchers partners with local farmers and ranchers to deliver 100% American meat straight to your door. It's pasture-raised, has no antibiotics, and no added hormones. It's a kind of quality you can actually feel good about serving to the people around your table. For a limited time, you can get $50 off your first Good Ranchers order. That means you can build your own box starting as low as $129. Just visit goodranchers.com/clay to get $50 off anything on their site. Remember, that's goodranchers.com/clay for $50 off. You also get double the free meat with every order on top of the $50 off when you start a plan today. Go to goodranchers.com/clay. Switch to American meat delivered.
Alex Marlow cuts through the political spin of the Alex Marlow podcast.
The economics of illegal immigration is so dumb. It's so stupid for Americans. We want American dollars to stay in America. That's how the economy grows. But if I pay an illegal alien and they send 50% of it home, the money doesn't go to American businesses. It goes to another country. Why do we want that? It's a race to the far left Islamist wing of the party.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Your local State Farm agent Anthony DeGrotto combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
MyPillow is celebrating our country's 250th anniversary with savings up to 50% off their made-in-the-USA products. For example, get the queen size premium MyPillow for $18.98 and the king size for just $1 more. Get body pillows with a free pillowcase for only $39.98. Get the MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99 and $80 off the MyCross. All made right here in the USA. But there is so much more. In fact, they have over 200 products. Go to MyPillow.com and use promo code Chicago or call 800-489-0201 to check out all of the great products they are offering. Get everything from MyPillow blankets, sleepwear, kitchen towels, mattresses, duvets, pet beds, comforters, couch pillows, bathrobes, and so much more. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code Chicago to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products.
Fight or flight? In Illinois, you've got both options. You can stay and fight, engage in local races, work to change things. Or you can vote with your feet. At LeavingIL.com, we help you build a smart exit plan so you know where to go, when to go, and how to do it right. Take our quick exit readiness assessment. Go to LeavingIL.com. That's LeavingIL.com. Or call 224-800-6979.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
When George Washington accepted command of the Continental Army, Americans were fighting a king and determined not to replace one form of unchecked power with another. Washington understood the difference between authority and ownership. In 1775, he declared, "When we assumed the soldier, we did not lay aside the citizen." Even as commander of America's army, Washington remembered that he remained one of the people and that the power entrusted to him was never his to keep. He did not fight to rule America. He fought so Americans could govern themselves. Washington's example gave the young nation something more than victory. It gave America a standard for leadership. Those who hold power must remain accountable to the people they serve, because in a free nation, leadership is not ownership. It is a duty and a trust.
If stairs in your home are becoming difficult, there's a practical solution, and it doesn't have to come with pushy salespeople. Access provides dependable stair lifts designed to help you stay safely in the home you love. No gimmicks, no overselling, just honest guidance, quality equipment, and professional local installation. We'll explain your options, work within your budget, and let you decide what's right at your pace. For a straightforward, no-pressure, free in-home consultation, call 630-616-6249 or visit allaboutaccess.com.
You know that feeling when you call your insurance company and you know that you're getting put into queue? Nobody wants to go through that, specifically Tommy and TJ Iaquinta with Class A Insurance. They're a father and son team built right here in Chicago's southwest suburbs on one idea: treat people like family. See, because they're independent, they're not stuck in pushing one company policy on you, one company rates on you. They shop the best carriers in the country, names you'd recognize, and find coverage that actually fits your life, your home, your car, even your boat and motorcycle. That's why they've been named one of the top 25 home insurance agencies in Chicago. 2 generations, 1 agency, and clients that stick with them for years. When something happens and claims happen, Tommy or TJ is the one who picks up the phone and walks you through the process themselves. If you're paying for a policy you don't understand from a company you never talk to, It's simple. Head to 560insurance.com. That's 560insurance.com. Get a free quote in minutes at 560insurance.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will feature partly sunny skies, pleasant conditions, and lower humidity levels with a high temperature of 80. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 65. Tomorrow, expect humid weather with a mix of clouds and sun, along with widely scattered afternoon thunderstorms. Be cautious of possible ponding on streets and highways. The high temperature will reach 83. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling. Stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Greetings and welcome to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer. I am not Dan Proft. No one is, except, of course, Dan Proft. I am Mike Coolidge, thrilled to be called in from the bullpen to start this game, right? Monday, beginning of the week. I think Dan is going to come in like the second or third inning this week. That's how a lot of these Major League Baseball managers do it these days. I don't really quite understand it. Used to be have a starter. He pitched the whole game. Remember the 2005 White Sox World Series, all those complete games? Well, yeah, we're doing it the new way. I'm starting the week. I think there's a fill-in host tomorrow as well. And then Dan is coming back from his Rockies trip, I think it is. The actual Rockies, not the Colorado Rockies, later on this week. 312-642-5600 is the alphawealthgroup.com talk and text line. We've got a packed 4 hours of radio information and entertainment and awesome guests. And I want to jump right into this this battle, this war that is happening right now in the United States of America. Not talking about the war in Ukraine or even the war in Iran. Those are wars, to be sure. And yes, we're going to be getting into some of that with Steve Bucci later, as this show does every single Monday. But I might have mentioned this the last time I hosted for Dan the Ogle County Republican Party. I'm the chairman of that, and we had our Loudoun Day dinner, we call it. It's the Lincoln Day dinner, except Governor Loudoun, former governor of Illinois, who hailed from Ogle County. And we had it Thursday night, and it was fantastic. You know, we had Brian Drew running for comptroller, Max Solomon running for treasurer. We have a army of precinct committeemen, and a bunch of people want to become precinct committeemen where we live, which is awesome. I mean, we're growing in red Illinois. But of course, the state of Illinois is not red. It's not even close to being red. It's not even close to being purple, really. And we're trying to change that, right? I mean, most of the people listening to this program, of course, live in Illinois. I know a lot of you are above the Cheddar Curtain in Wisconsin. Handful of you in Michigan as well. A lot of you I know listening online throughout the United States of America and world. We hear calls from Florida and from Texas and from Massachusetts and all over. That's awesome. But, you know, this is primarily a Midwestern radio show. And yes, later on during this program, we're going to talk about how we're going to maybe flip things in the state of Michigan. Scott Bertram from Hillsdale College, old friend of mine, and whose voice you hear on AM 560, The Answer on occasion. He is going to join us and break down the Michigan possibility there. Yeah, Michigan might flip from Democrat to Republican. At least Slotkin, her seat is going to be, I forget what senator it is there. Anyway, it is currently held by a Democrat, and it could flip to a Republican. Mike Rogers. There's some optimism there that might happen. That might be something that enables Republicans to keep the Senate, right? But in Illinois, we've got a long road ahead of us to change things. And it is possible to do if we're realistic about it. It is possible to slowly change this state into a purple state, which is the step before it could possibly become a red state. And by red state, look, we're not completely delusional. We don't think that the state of Illinois is going to be in the red column, for example, on the Electoral College vote for president anytime, maybe even in our lifetime. But winning a statewide office in Illinois for a Republican, that's absolutely possible to do. I mean, we had Bruce Rauner. I know he turned out to be a major disappointment, but as far as winning an election goes for a Republican, that only happened in 2014, which isn't that long ago. It is possible to win a statewide race for a U.S. Senate candidate in Illinois at some point. Maybe this year, Don Tracy, this Juliana Stratton is an absolute joke. And I'm going to be embarrassed if we are talking about Juliana Stratton and Tammy Duckworth as the representatives of this state, Illinois, in the U.S. Senate in January of next year. That would be embarrassing. Possibly our the two worst senators in the country, as far as, the combination of the two, if that is the case in January of next year. But the war that I want to talk about, and that I talked about a little bit on Thursday night in Oregon, Illinois, is this war right now between Western civilization and communism. And it is a left-right battle, but this war has never, in my lifetime, I'm a Gen Xer, I'm a little bit younger than Dan, it's never been as in our faces as it's been in my lifetime, for sure. And I know it's one of the most oversaid phrases and oversaid quotes in conservative circles and Republican circles, but it's absolutely applicable to this time period now, ever in my lifetime, again, is that we're only one generation away from losing it all. One generation away from losing this republic, the famous Ronald Reagan quote, Illinois' own. That's right now. That's not a future thing. The future he was talking about when he said that is 2026. It's happening. Dan is awesome about talking about this on this radio program, and I learned so much from Dan listening to it. Again, if you haven't heard me filming before, I'm as big a fan of this radio program as you can get, and it's so awesome to be able to fill in for it. And as the show develops, we're going to talk about this war in the abstract and in the literal on AM 560, The Answer. But now, let's check into the newsroom with the great Mike Scott.
It's 5:30 on AM 560, The Answer, and a pleasant good morning in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Two were shot on the city's far south side Sunday afternoon. The shooting happened around 4:30 in the 1100 block of South Normal. Two victims, according to police, both in critical condition. Leaders from several south suburbs hit hard by recent storms are coming together to call for federal help as residents face a long road to recovery.
In a matter of minutes, homes were damaged, businesses were disrupted, roads were blocked, power was knocked out, and families saw the places they call home transformed.
Linwood Mayor Jada Curry on Sunday, elected officials from communities battered by the storms stood together, tried to finger the Trump administration and FEMA for delays in help. They say they need it now.
Disaster assistance is not a favor from the president. It's not a political reward. It's a commitment that our federal government makes to every American in a time of need. And now we are in need here in the Southland.
And then the governor tried to lay some of the blame for a lack of aid after the storms at the feet of the federal government.
More often, it is that FEMA is just deciding not to support. We try to step up and do whatever we can.
Pritzker saying Friday it wasn't immediately important to sign a disaster declaration for Illinois.
It's the kickoff of our attempt to get federal money.
Pritzker visited the storm-damaged south suburbs days only after ignoring calls for help and criticism reached a fever pitch. The about-face came after he saying on Thursday he planned to stay away from response and recovery efforts. Days of storms and flooding in Indiana have left 7 dead as floodwaters begin to recede in Indianapolis. Along the White River, rains eased on Sunday. A 4-year-old boy, 3 men, and 3 women were among those who have died in Indiana since storms began August 11. In northwest Indiana, power outages continue for thousands of residents. Nearly 108,000 have not had electricity restored nearly a week after the storms. 7,000 in Hobart, 10,000 in Portage, 11,000 in Maryville remain in the dark. This morning, 16 teens face trespassing charges for breaking into the shuttered Congress Theater in Chicago. Police say the arrest happened on Friday. 2 of the teens were cited for having replica firearms. The incident took place nearly a week after police shut down an unsanctioned rave at the theater. The mayor of Robbins is recovering after a shooting suspect was shot and killed by a security guard at a local restaurant Saturday night at a Harold's Chicken restaurant. Mayor Darren Bryant was inside the restaurant, but not the intended target. He suffered minor injuries. Northwestern University making big changes to its African Studies program. The university says the program is transitioning away from its status as a university-wide research institute and center. Officials denied that NU is closing the program. The announcement comes after the program's director of outreach told the Sun-Times that staff was informed the program would close and they would be no longer employed after this month. Congratulations to one of Naperville's own, Candace Parker. The Naperville Central grad went into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame this weekend.
Growing up in the 90s in Illinois was a time to be alive. Bulls three-peat, although Ron Harper was my favorite player, I'll be honest. MJ was cool, Ron Harper was my favorite player.
Parker went along with Proviso East star, Marquette grad, and now Basketball Hall of Famer himself, Doc Rivers, Mr. Basketball in Illinois in 1980. The Bears running back Kyle Monangai left yesterday's practice with an apparent knee injury, dampening the excitement over the return of starting left tackle Ozzie Trapillo. Bears visit the Bengals for practice and their second preseason game on Saturday. Cardinals cruise to an 11-4 win over the Cubs, capturing the rubber match at Wrigley Field. Cubs host the White Sox later on tonight, after the Sox swept their series with the Tigers, picking up a 7-5 victory in the finale. Munetaka Murakami broke a 4-all tie in the top of the 7th with a 2-run bomb, and the White Sox are now beginning to run away with the AL Central. The news, a service of AutoZone. Get into the zone. Starting stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Dan Proft and the Chicago Morning Answer crew continues next. And in 2 minutes, we'll have the latest AccuWeather forecast from our Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center on AM 560. The Answer.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live, on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by Class A Insurance, owned by Thomas Iacenta.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
The TV tide is turning, and millions of Americans are tuning to Salem News Channel. For breaking news, common sense analysis, and the conservative voices leading the conversation, SNC delivers the stories that matter most. Watch Scott Jennings, Larry Elder, Mike Gallagher, and many others tackling the issues facing our nation. Stream free on Pluto TV, Samsung TV, the Roku channel, and more. Salem News Channel, the news you want, the perspective you trust.
You've worked hard for everything you have, your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. Choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.
Then we thought, what if something happens to him?
Or what if the kids can't agree? We've seen money tear families apart.
We called Home State Bank, and I wish we'd done it sooner. Home State Bank serves as trustee or executor for families across Northern Illinois, stepping in as the professional, impartial manager of your estate so your family doesn't have to carry that burden. They don't take sides, and they'll carry out your wishes exactly as you intended. Take the first step today by calling 815-459-2000 to meet with a trust officer face-to-face. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Home State Bank. Hometown professionals working together to build a stronger community since 1915.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will bring partly sunny skies, creating pleasant conditions with lower humidity levels. The high temperature will reach 80 degrees. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 65. Tomorrow, expect humid weather with a mix of clouds and sun, along with widely scattered afternoon thunderstorms. Be cautious of possible ponding on streets and highways. The high temperature will be 83 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest.
Yes, we're back on AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. I'm Mike Coolidge in for Dan Proft on this Monday, which is the first day of the week. I think the video feed is up again now. It got a slow start this morning, the video feed, you know, the right hand talking to the left digitally, and now they're connected. So you can see my lovely mug there, I believe, on YouTube. So speaking of YouTube and the old internet, John Stossel, who for years was on 2020, and I loved him when he was on 2020. He's been on this show, I know, and I grew up watching him. He's always kind of a libertarian. Well, he's created this new thing, the Liberty Justice Center, I believe it's called. Anyway, this woman put together this piece on his feed about socialism and the youth, and how it's becoming a lot of the youth is being enticed by the whole socialism, Marxism, communism thing. And this is, right now, that generation that we could lose the republic to. They're not in any way, shape, or form, these leftists, the majority of even the youth, let alone our country. It's a sliver, but it's a very loud sliver, and they're becoming more and more organized. And they'll have defeats, like the supposed defeat in Wisconsin with the socialist who lost the primary there to some quote-unquote moderate Democrat who was not even in the race a month ago, and all of a sudden he wins at the last minute. Weird stuff with the voting irregularities, let's call them, very, very late at night. A little sketchy what happened there in Wisconsin. But let's just say everything was on the up and up there. The far left had a loss in the primary last week in Wisconsin, but they won in Michigan. And, of course, they won in Chicago, 2.5 years ago or so, 3 years ago with the Marxist mayor we currently have, BLM Brandon. And, of course, they won in New York City with Mamdani. So they have these victories, and they chalk them up, and they learn from their defeats. But so much of it starts in these colleges. These overeducated kids get into these really great schools and are just infested with this bile of socialism, Marxism, communism, and so much. There's an absolute dearth of the other side. Anyway, here's the first part of this really, really great, short documentary that John Stossel's John Stossel's organization put out here. Let me get it right here. Here we go.
People complain life is expensive, and many blame capitalism.
Under capitalism, once prices go up, they stay up.
They say we need a new system.
We need revolution. We need a whole different system.
A mass uprising against the violent capitalist system.
Their solution?
Socialism.
Among Americans 18 to 34, socialism is viewed more positively than capitalism.
Pro-working class is pro-socialism.
Is it really? By working class, they mean poor people. But
it's not the actual material poor who want socialism. When you actually see who supports socialism, these are people who are relatively well off.
Political psychologist Rob Henderson grew up in foster homes before getting degrees from Yale and Cambridge. He calls socialism a luxury belief.
It is an idea that confers status while ultimately inflicting costs on people who are less fortunate.
Occupy Wall Street all day, all week.
You take the Occupy Wall Street movement. The majority of the people who participated, they were college educated. They disproportionately earned more than $100,000 a year.
We are the 99%.
You have to have a certain level of comfort to neglect your day job to participate in political demonstrations in the first place.
Maybe these people, they just want to help the poor.
If you want to help the poor, socialism isn't the way to go about it. You don't see slogans like feed the poor, help the needy, support the people who are dispossessed. It's more like soak the rich.
It's people with college degrees who prioritize closing the wealth gap. Sensibly, Americans who didn't attend college are more likely to value reducing poverty, something socialism never does. Decades ago, a British prime minister said,
"So long as the gap is smaller, they'd rather have the poor poorer."
Margaret Thatcher was spot on.
Once they start to talk about the gap, they'd rather the gap was that. Down here. That. Not that. But that.
It's as if they believe
anyone above you, they acquired it through illicit means. But then once you reach that point, well, you did it honestly.
Bernie Sanders seems to believe that. He used to complain about
millionaires and billionaires, millionaires and billionaires.
But then he made millions.
If you write a best-selling book, you could be a millionaire too.
Sanders no longer complains about millionaires.
Just the billionaire class.
Isn't that interesting how that happens? The millionaires and billionaires that Bernie Sanders used to criticize, it's just become billionaires when he became a millionaire. But, Bernie Sanders is just one. He is the one who really started and instigated this whole thing with the youth, almost 10 years ago, and even before that. But these young leftists right now, these young radicals, so many of them come from extreme privilege.
Democratic Socialist AOC grew up in this wealthy suburb and attended one of the most expensive colleges in America.
You can't earn $1 billion.
Then there is Seattle's new socialist mayor, Katie Wilson, eager to further tax the rich.
The claims that millionaires are going to leave our state are super overblown. The ones that leave, bye.
She also grew up privileged. She went to Oxford debt-free thanks to her wealthy parents. And of course, there is New York City Mayor Mamdani. His parents own a 5-bedroom mansion and paid for his expensive private school.
Bowdoin College. If you go to school here, you're rich.
He is the poster boy for luxury beliefs.
Nepotism and hard work goes a long way.
It's almost like he was made in a laboratory. He has a wealthy filmmaker mother, an Ivy League professor father. He spent most of his teens and 20s floundering, working for his mother's film studio, trying to moonlight as a rapper.
Chop, chop, chop it up. Chop, chop, chop it up.
We live under an inherently oppressive capitalist dogma.
Many socialist influencers grew up wealthy. Streamer Hasan Piker admits that. His dad was an executive at one of Turkey's largest companies. Now Piker earns millions streaming on Twitch, denouncing the system that makes him rich.
For years, I've wanted to visit Cuba. I wanted to see a socialist society in person.
He was recently seen wearing $1,300 glasses to his trip to Cuba.
Ostensibly, they think that everyone should be equal, but then when you look at how they behave in their lives, they're obsessed with getting into the right colleges, wearing the right clothes, showing off that they have money, showing off that they have the right beliefs.
Even Fidel Castro was well off, growing up on his family's big sugarcane and cattle farm.
The farm itself was some 12,000 hectares, so he came from an extremely wealthy family.
Fidel Castro famously wore 2 Rolexes. The ostensible reason he gave for why this was because time was of the essence. He had to know, what time he was supposed to be where and had to double check. But why did it have to be 2 Rolexes?
Yeah. Leila Tegayeva is the woman's voice who you hear explaining this. And she's young, but she herself comes from a socialist country. And as she brings it home here in this final clip, so many of these young people, I'm not even talking about Mamdani and the Hasan Piker types, they know what they're doing. They are these budding tyrants who already come from privilege, and they want to get even richer and even more wealthy on the backs of the movement. But it's the people in the movement that are so naive and are so completely ignorant of what happens when you actually try to implement this socialism.
Socialism creates rich tyrants, but naive Americans think it will give ordinary people free services.
We're going to have free buses. We're going to have free childcare.
We will cut the working week in half with no loss in pay.
Cancel the rent, mortgages, and utility payments for all folks.
It never works. So why do people keep falling for it?
That is an inherently appealing thing to people who have not been thoroughly educated in the catastrophes of socialism in the past. In American high schools, you get 155 hours of Hitler, you get 3 minutes on Stalin, you get 0 on Pol Pot, you get 0 on Mao. It's not that people have to be trained into liking socialism, they have to be educated out of liking it.
Exactly. We must teach people the dangers of socialism before more people are misled by privileged voices who never bear the costs. I grew up in Azerbaijan. My country lived through socialism. But when I came to America for college, all I could see around my campus was communist posters. I don't get it. Socialism doesn't work.
It doesn't. And this message isn't reaching enough of the young people out there. There are really good people doing it. You know, Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk for years was the best entity that was battling the left right in front of their faces, particularly on college campuses. Then, of course, he was assassinated, and they're doing their best to fill that gap that the right has had and will, have for a very long time after Charlie Kirk's death. But there's a lot of hope out there. I mean, just this woman, again, Layla Tagieva with John Stossel's group putting stuff out like this. But then it takes people to get involved locally to win elections, to stop leftists from gaining power locally, and then in legislatures, and then in Congress, and then in the Senate, and in governor's mansions, and God forbid, the presidency. They have a path, these leftists. It's a business plan. It's all laid out, and they're learning. And the thing that is different about leftists than about those of us on the right, and I'll go ahead and criticize my side here. And if you're one of these people, I wag my finger at you. I mean, I'm as lifelong a conservative as you can be. I'm a Rush baby. Went to college at the same school that AOC did, as a matter of fact. I had an Army ROTC scholarship. I definitely did not come from a rich family at all that paid for it. The Army helped me get through it. But the difference I saw, and I continue to see, between the right and the left as far as grassroots and people, getting involved in elections and getting involved in the party and getting involved even in, academia and in their churches and in their businesses, is so often on the right. When we get confronted by, or we see leftists sort of taking over or getting a victory, let's say, or our side, we see people getting elected who aren't how we want, conservatism or the Republican Party to look. And instead, we leave. We say, oh, nope, I don't want to be a part of that organization anymore. I'm going to start my own. Forget the Republican Party. I'm going to start, libertarians, or I'm going to become an independent, or I'm going to... And that's exactly how we lose. That's exactly how we lose. It's so easy to quit. It's so easy to say, nope, you guys, I am not part of this anymore. I'm out. What takes a little bit more effort and a little bit more, yes, courage, is to stick around and say, hey, no, we're not going to accept that. We're not going to let the left slowly infiltrate our school boards locally, our library boards, our city councils. In my county, Ogle County, Red County, we're a county that has never, ever voted for a Democrat for president. Ever. Even in the 2 Obama elections, we voted for the Republican candidate each side. Since the Republican Party was founded in 1856, Ogle County, Illinois, has never voted for a Democrat in a presidential election. Very proud of that where we live. But still, in deep red, 63, 64% Trump, all 3 last elections. The leftists here, they don't go away. They don't care. They put candidates up for school board, and some of them win. They put candidates up for county board. Some of them get close to winning. If we get complacent in deep red counties and don't even try in the suburbs to get out there and vote. And I know every single person listening to the show votes. I know they do. I know you do. It's your neighbors who don't. It's those 400,000 who vote in the Republican for president, elections in the 2024 and 2000 and 2016, but don't come out in the midterms. If a third of them came out in the midterms, we could actually add a congressional seat here in Illinois. We could maybe win a statewide race or two. And it's that kind of sitting home or I don't like that they didn't pass the SAVE Act. Man, I'm livid about that. I'm extremely angry about that. And yes, we need to put pressure on Republicans for not getting done what they said they were going to get done. But we still got to vote in the midterms. And we still got to encourage our neighbors to. Or these leftists, these socialists, these Marxists win. We will be right back on AM 560, The Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
You've worked hard for everything you have, your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. Choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.
Then we thought, what if something happens to him?
Or what if the kids can't agree? We've seen money tear families apart.
We called Home State Bank, and I wish we'd done it sooner.
Home State Bank serves as trustee or executor for families across Northern Illinois, stepping in as the professional, impartial manager of your estate so your family doesn't have to carry that burden. They don't take sides, and they'll carry out your wishes exactly as you intended. Take the first step today by calling 815-459-2000 to meet with a trust officer face-to-face. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Home State Bank. Hometown professionals working together to build a stronger community since 1915.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. AM 560, The Answer.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
How dare you? Remember her? Oh, Greta Thunberg. All right, it is 6 o'clock on WIND Chicago.
The time is up. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That 60-day memorandum of understanding the U.S. and Iran signed as a framework for a deal to end the conflict expires today with no deal in sight.
The Memorandum of Understanding was declared over by President Trump on July 8th, a few days after the US renewed military strikes. The Strait of Hormuz remains closed to almost all maritime traffic. Only 5 cargo ships passed through over the weekend. According to the Wall Street Journal, Iran spent the last 60 days boosting missile and drone production.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Now another conflict. Trump's special envoy and Board of Peace member Jared Kushner is in Israel, which rejected the latest Gaza peace plan.
Kushner met Sunday in Egypt with Hamas chief Khalil al-Hayya to solidify the process for Hamas to lay down their weapons in Gaza. Kushner was joined by Board of Peace envoys Nikolai Mladenov and Tony Blair. Reports indicate he'll meet today with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who recently called the Board of Peace roadmap unacceptable.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. President Trump is scaling back U.S. military exercises with South Korea. citing his good relationship with North Korea's leader.
The president posted on Truth Social the exercises slated to start this week are costly and send a hostile signal to North Korea. He also made it clear he's not happy that South Korea didn't back the U.S. in its military action against Iran. Those exercises have been going on for decades and are meant to help South Korea beef up its readiness against North Korean threats.
Fox's Jill Nato, an actress, has died young. Hayden Panettiere, who starred in the TV shows Nashville and Heroes.
I've got the Bishop game next week, SATs in October, homecoming's 3 weeks from today, and I'm a freak show.
You're being a little dramatic, don't you think?
No cause of death given. Panettiere was only 36. A baseball pitcher has also died. Tommy John was 83, famous for more than his pitching. His name lives on medically. The operation he got to repair his elbow decades ago is called Tommy John surgery. America's listening to Fox News.
6:02 in Chicago. 66 degrees, lower humidity this morning, at least for the next 24 hours. In our QC Kinetics newsroom, 2 were shot on the city's far south side Sunday afternoon. It happened around 4:30 in the 1100 block of South Normal. Leaders from several south suburbs hit hard by recent storms came together Sunday to call for federal help as residents face a road to recovery.
In a matter of minutes, homes were damaged, businesses were disrupted, roads were blocked, power was knocked out, and families saw the places they call home transformed.
Linwood Mayor Jada Curry laid blame at the feet of the Trump administration and FEMA. And Governor Pritzker tried to lay some of the blame there as well.
More often, it is that FEMA is just deciding not to support. We try to step up and do whatever we can.
Pritzker visited the storm-damaged south suburbs only after ignoring calls for help and criticism reaching a fever pitch. His about-face came after saying on Thursday he planned to stay away from response and recovery efforts. Days of storms and flooding in Indiana left at least 7 dead as floodwaters began to recede in Indianapolis along the White River. In northwest Indiana, power outages continue for thousands of residents. Nearly 108,000 have not had electricity restored nearly a week after the storms, over 11,000 in Maryville alone. Cook County Sheriff's Office is warning the public about a phone scam. Officials say a caller identifies as a member of the Cook County Sheriff's Office and seeks payment for citations. The calls come from a number without caller ID. The Sheriff's Office doesn't call to seek payments or notify individuals about citations, warrants, or missing jury duty by phone. Congratulations to one of Naperville's own, Candace Parker. The Naperville Central grad went into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame this weekend.
But I didn't have to look far. I looked down the hall to my role models, my brothers Anthony and Marcus. They gave me front row seats to what it took to be great. They were my heroes. Parker went in along with Proviso East star Marquette grad and now Basketball Hall of Famer Doc Rivers. Mr. Basketball in Illinois in 1980. Chicago sports. Bear running back Kyle Monangai left yesterday's practice with an apparent knee injury as the team activates last year's starting left tackle during Sunday practice, Ozzie Trapillo. Bears, coming off a preseason win, will practice with the Bengals this week and hold their second preseason game on Saturday against Cincinnati. Cardinals over the Cubs 11-4. White Sox swept out Detroit with a 7-5 win. Cubs and White Sox tonight. The news, a service of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Brighten your home and make your rooms in your house bigger and better with larger windows or patio doors this summer. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your consultation today. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live, on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by Virago and by State Farm Insurance Agent Anthony DeGrotto.
When it comes to supplements, two things matter most. One, that it works. And two, you can trust it. Rather than just tell you about Relief Factor, I want to let my audience do it. We hear from people every single day whose lives have changed, and I'd like you to hear a few of their stories. Mark was in tears from his daily hand joint discomfort, but after a week on Relief Factor, he felt 50% better, and now he barely notices any pain. He is so happy, he says he's spreading the word to everybody he knows. My hands were like Mark's. I couldn't even button my own shirt at times. Like Mark and me, there are so many people getting their life back with Relief Factor. They make it easy to find out if you'll be the next person telling us Relief Factor helped you tackle your daily aches and pain. 3 weeks for just $17.76. Call 1-800-4RELIEF. Get the 3-week quick start, $17.76. 1-800-4RELIEF. ReliefFactor.com. You'll be connected with their friendly local team, and they will do everything they can just to help. We hope you soon will be sharing your story with us.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
6:08, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Metro delays all over the board this morning. Metro's Southwest service has irregular delays inbound from Manhattan. Metro Southwest service inbound to Union Station with delays. With those delays, we're seeing some commuters right now struggling to get to work this morning. We'll keep our eyes on that. Hanover Park, an accident. Irving Park in Barrington. Itasca, Elk Grove Village, right on the border. Devon and Arlington Heights, report of an accident. And on the Veterans this morning, I-355, the toll road has a disabled vehicle in the left lane on the northbound off-ramp to Roosevelt Road. Traffic, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the app, 560theanswer.com/mobile. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And up next, the morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will feature partly sunny skies, pleasant conditions, and lower humidity levels with a high temperature of 80. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 65. Tomorrow, expect humid weather with a mix of clouds and sun, along with widely scattered afternoon thunderstorms. Be cautious of possible ponding on streets and highways. The high temperature will reach 83. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Saving the American Dream with Jim Martyr, Faith, Family, Freedom. This Saturday evening at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Yes. Greetings. Happy Monday. And welcome to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer. I am Mike Coolidge, in for Dan Proft. Coolidge is spelled with a K, Koolidge. You can find me on the X, Twitter as it used to be called, Koolidge. 312-642-5600 is the alphawealthgroup.com talk and text line. It's 312-642-5600. Yes, we are taking calls. And that's one of the things I love about filling in for Dan Proft, too, by the way, is the calls. Such an awesome crop of callers on this show. And I'm a fan of you guys, not just of Dan. So before the break earlier in the show, talking about this battle, and it really does come down to two things. This war between the left and the right, which has now become Western civilization versus Marxism, communism, and you got to throw in Islamism in there too, right? That's part of this. And it's an odd, weird thing that really wasn't part of the leftist uprisings of the past. It's like a new ingredient in it, this whole Islamism thing. And, you could do a 4-hour show about why that is. But as far as we're concerned, what we need to do is two things. We really boil it down. It's educate and vote and encourage others to vote. Educate and win elections. You think about it from the, if you put yourself in the shoes of the leftists, it's the Hassan Pikers and the AOCs. They're the ones like educating their side. And then you have the James Carvilles and the Rahm Emanuel types who care about elections first and foremost more than anything, and even criticize the far leftists occasionally, but all they care about is power too, the Carville and the Emanuel types. But that's their tent. If the far left crazies listened to the James Carvilles, they would win more elections. And thankfully, they don't listen to much of them. They're trying to push them out, right? Well, we on the right need to pay attention to the youngest generation right now that is being brainwashed, a lot of them are, into following this garbage. Because, and, yes, of course, so much of it has to do with the terrible state of our education system here in the United States. And I'm not talking about even the, inner city education where you have 18 kids in a school that should have 2,000, yet there's like 30 teachers in that school. Like, Dan covers that a lot on the show, and it's a huge, huge problem. But I'm talking about even the quote-unquote smart kids that go off to college. They're being inundated with this garbage, too. Listen to this DSA on the streets guy. He's dressed up in, like, leftist garb, and he is asking these people, I think it's in New York City, what they think about DSA stuff. And he interviews a bunch of white leftists and then some people who happen to be African American and asks them if they believe some of the garbage that the DSA asks. And some interesting responses. This is again from Think Again on X.
You agree to abolish all borders?
Yeah.
Great. And the presidency and the Senate and police, all jails?
Yes.
Is that something you as a person of color might be interested in, or?
No.
No. Really? But you're diverse. The Democrat socialists are taking America by storm, pretending to be a minority movement while being 85% white. So to expose the blackface, I'm going undercover as a white splainer in their most gentrified district in America. Hello, comrade. Do you support the Democrat Socialists of America?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my God, amazing. Are you a member already, or?
Yes.
We're just doing an interest form for NPOCs, non-persons of color. We try to get white people to represent people of color, to sort of speak for them, speak over them, since it's hard for them to speak up,
Yeah.
You agreed to abolish all borders?
Yeah.
Great. In the presidency and the Senate?
Yes, right now, yes.
Okay. Trying to get rid of the presidency, the Senate, all borders, police, all jails. Is that something you as a person of color might be interested in, or?
No.
No. Really? But you're diverse.
Why would I want to abolish the police?
Oh, okay.
We need them.
We typically put brown and black people like as the face of it, like Mamdani, trying to usher in socialism through disguised white supremacy.
Heck yeah.
Are you a fan of socialism?
Yeah.
Yes.
And what do you like about socialism?
I went to a very socialist high school.
So they're like indoctrinating kids young now, teaching them the truth. Are you interested in socialism?
Oh, I'm good, thank you.
Oh, okay. Do you like the DSA?
No. Hell no.
Mom, Dad. Free bus, free Palestine, free rent. No. Did you flee socialism? Mm-hmm. You don't think socialism is a good idea? No. Okay. I wonder why, though.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you like about communism?
Better than what we have now.
I know, right? And communism has worked everywhere pretty much.
Right.
The Soviet Union was amazing and everyone loved it.
Yeah,
it was like one big party. Mouse China, super fun.
Right.
Like everybody didn't die.
Socialism, communism, that's some rich white people.
We have a couple like black and brown people. It's 4% black. We're mostly white people speaking over black people and pushing policies that they don't actually support. Do you feel afraid to speak for yourself?
Nah.
Oh, you don't?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, really? The Democrat Party right now, very diverse, but we're trying to kick out the moderate Democrats and replace it with us, so we're looking for more white recruits. We're very pro-jihadist as well, so we're sort of masking Islamism as socialism, carried through white supremacy. What do you think about our numbers?
I think that needs to change.
Oh, you do? Did you know we were 85% white?
I didn't. The DSA.
The organization?
Yeah, they're racist as hell.
Does Guatemala have socialism? Mm-hmm. Okay. And you didn't like it?
No.
Why don't any of the people of color actually want socialism? It's just like supporting brown and black voices by speaking over them, basically. For example, they don't want to abolish prisons, most polls show, but we want to abolish prisons. Does that make sense, kind of? Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you were indoctrinated young. Yeah. Do you think some of it comes from white guilt?
Absolutely.
Thank you. We're taking our white guilt and we're using it for good. Amazing. Awesome. Yikes. Looks like underneath all the communism, the DSA is nothing more than a bunch of overeducated, guilty white people pushing policies that won't hurt them nearly as much as the minorities they're cosplaying. So think again.
Yeah. Think again. Again, the purpose of a show like this isn't to point this all out and explain why socialism is bad and is terrible. You already know that. You listening to this right now already know that. It's to be aware of so much of the youth in this country right now, and some non-youth, who are lapping this stuff up. And if you don't pay attention to it, if you don't try to talk to your friends and family, neighbors about what you hear on this radio program, for example, they will win. They will start to listen to the Rahm Emanuels and the James Carvilles, who were screaming at their side to say, hey, get your act together. We're going to lose these midterms, or we're not going to win as much as we think we're going to, Democrats. We're going to lose the White House again and again and again, Democrats, if we listen to the far left. You got to pay attention to the electoral stuff. You got to pay it to stop with the Electoral College and, trying to add senators or even just abolish the Senate. You got to stop doing that, all that crazy talk, and pay attention to winning elections. They're right when they say that. We need to take a page out of the James Carvilles and apply that to those of us who are on the right, who obviously know the craziness and the insanity that is being indoctrinated into, the youth and others. But what we can do about it is not quitting, is not going away, is not putting our arms, folding our arms and saying, no, we're not going to vote. And that's the message that we're going to send. And I know that, there's literally millions of people who don't vote in the midterms and even in their local elections, but that's a whole other problem. But the midterm elections, if we don't vote, if we don't get involved locally, if we don't do things like join our local Republican parties and maybe become a precinct committeeman, which it's a brilliant system with that exists that actually does the sort of things that James Carville preaches to his side all the time is, you have to actually get your people out to vote. And trust me, they're having seminars, they're having conferences, they're having Zoom sessions on the left, these extreme leftists, all about the basics of knocking on doors, of chasing ballots, ballot harvesting, all of these things. They're doing it, and they're getting smarter, and they're learning. And too many of us on the right, probably not you listening to this right now, probably not Dan Proft listeners, but maybe some of your friends and neighbors who were happy when Trump won in 2024. We're happy, of course, when he won in 2016. We're a little bit angry about 2020 and that whole election for various reasons. But don't come out in the midterms. Or they get mad that the Republican Party politicians, and trust me, they deserve the fire that we breathe on them and the pressure that we breathe on them and that Dan breathes on them all the time. They deserve that pressure for not getting the stuff done that we voted them into office to do. But the answer isn't not to vote. The answer is to vote, obviously, and encourage your friends and neighbors to. So if you want to take the next step to stop the sort of insanity which you just heard, those sort of people actually gaining power, because they will. It is guaranteed they will if they don't come up against obstruction in the form of, Republicans winning elections. You can get involved in your local Republican Party, your local Republican Party. That's the key word, local. You don't necessarily have to write a check to the Republican National Committee nationally, although you can. You don't have to write a check to the Illinois Republican Party, although you can. More than welcome to. But if you really, really want to make a difference, you can donate to your local Republican Party too. But what we really need are people to volunteer their time to become precinct committeeman. Because what's a precinct committeeman? It's somebody who their literal job, it's a volunteer job. You don't get paid to do it. Sorry to tell you. It's their literal job to convince people to vote and get out the vote. That's it. It's all you got to do. And it's fun and it's easy. I gave these numbers out at the speech I gave Thursday night at the Loudon Day dinner, the Ogle County Republican Party annual fundraiser. And it's people can quibble with these numbers. This is napkin math here. But just a real quick recap of the last two midterms and the governor's races in Illinois. In 2024, Donald Trump got 2.4 million votes. So 2.4 million Illinoisans went out and filled in the circle for Donald Trump. In J.B. Pritzker's last election, 2.2 million people voted for him. So there's 200,000 more Trump voters than there are J.B. Pritzker voters in Illinois. Now, I know political junkies say, oh, there's no way you're never going to get the same amount of people to vote in a midterm that you can in a presidential race. Yes, that's true. That's true across the whole country. We all understand that. But those 200,000 people, that's the target. That's the doors you're knocking on if you're a precinct committeeman. A lot of people think when you join your local Republican Party and you get involved that you're knocking on random doors and talking to independents and Democrats and getting in fights and arguing with. No, that's not what you're doing. For the most part, 90% of your time, and again, it's not every weekend, it's not even every month. It's just like 2 or 3 times a year. Is 2 or 3 times just for an hour or two on a weekend. Not talking about a lot of time. It is to convince those 200,000 or those 2.4 million people really to vote in midterms. If you convince enough of them to do it, we can win. We will be right back on AM 560, The Answer. This is Mike Coolidge in for Dan Proft. Stay with us.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
You've worked hard for everything you have, your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.
Then we thought, what if something happens to him?
Or what if the kids can't agree? We've seen money tear families apart.
We called Home State Bank, and I wish we'd done it sooner.
Home State Bank serves as trustee or executor for families across Northern Illinois, stepping in as the professional, impartial manager of your estate so your family doesn't have to carry that burden. They don't take sides, and they'll carry out your wishes exactly as you intended. Take the first step today by calling 815-459-2000 to meet with a trust officer face-to-face. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Home State Bank. Hometown professionals working together to build a stronger community since 1915.
Hi, I'm Dr. Huber with Virago, the Immune Enhancement Cocktail. Did you know it has 23 natural ingredients in it that work together synergistically? We have nutraceuticals like quercetin, luteolin, fisetin, and lactoferrin. Each of them has such great properties in themselves. Together, they synergistically create a really powerful super immune boost. Not only that, Virago includes specialized mitochondrial energy factors like R-alpha-lipoic acid, CoQ10, and resveratrol to give your cells the energy they need to power your immune system. The ultimate immune boost starts with Virago. Discover Virago today. Join me Friday, August 28th at Seanfest and hear me interviewed by the great Sean Thompson, a true patriot.
Order your bottle of Virago today. Visit myvirago.com. Use the coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. If you're a business owner with unfiled tax returns, tax season is not your friend. This is when the IRS turns up the heat. They match 1099s. They review payroll filings. They compare bank deposits. And when returns are missing, they don't send you a warning. They take action. Penalties stack up fast. Liens become public. Bank levies can drain your account. I see it every year. Good business owners who waited too long. Not because they're crooks, but because they were overwhelmed. Let me be clear. Hiding makes it worse. Action makes it fixable. I help business owners get compliant, file what's missing, and negotiate from a position of strength, not fear. Don't wait for the next certified letter. Don't wait for a levy. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll tell you exactly what to do next, step by step. Or call me right now at 312-664-6649. Act now before the IRS acts first.
Are you carrying more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Do you feel like you're running on a financial treadmill, making payment after payment, month after month, yet never getting ahead? If you're tired of watching your hard-earned money disappear into interest charges, there may be options available to help you take back control of your finances. At Total Financial Freedom, they'll show you what qualified consumers may be able to save through programs designed to help them resolve debt faster than making minimum payments alone. The consultation is free, confidential, and comes with absolutely no obligation. Why spend years, sometimes decades, paying thousands in interest when there may be a better path forward? Total Financial Freedom is a Christian-owned company that has helped thousands of Americans pursue financial freedom for nearly 20 years and is proudly A+ rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now and ask how you can receive a complimentary copy of The Debt Dietitian. Stop running in place. Start moving toward financial freedom at 866-844-7344. 866-844-7344.
AM 560, The Answer.
There are approximately 5,200 places in the state of Illinois to vote. If you look up how many precincts there are throughout the state, like if you put that into Grok or any AI, it gives you a big, long answer. Well, there's townships, and some townships and counties have more precincts than the counties do. I mean, it's complicated. But the ballpark figure is 5,200. You take the 2.4 million people who voted for Trump in 2024, subtract the 2.2 million people who voted for Pritzker. That's how many total votes he got. Darren Bailey, I think, got like 1.5 or 1.6 million. Yeah, it was a very small amount compared to Pritzker, or he lost by, I don't think, 11 or 12 points last time. But the 2.4 million Trump voters, how do we get all of them to go out? If you're talking about a difference of 200,000, it comes down to, if you divide that by 5,200 voting areas, we'll call them precincts just for the sake of the argument, we're talking about like 30 extra voters. 30 per precincts per voting. Again, you can check my numbers. It might be a little bit more, a little bit less. But if you get involved in your local Republican Party and you're able to convince 30 extra people in your precinct of 600 people, 30 extra, more than vote more than who voted in the last election, we can win statewide. That's all it takes. 30 or so. Let's say you got 20 more people in your precinct to vote than would normally have voted. You know, that's a door knock. Hey, we see here that you voted for or you voted in the last 2 presidential elections and you took a Republican ballot in the primary. So we're going to go ahead and guess that you voted for President Trump. Yes, I did. Would you mind just voting in the midterm coming up in November? I wasn't planning on it. I mean, it would really, really help us defeat the leftists, the Islamists, the socialists, the Marxists. All right, cool, I will. And these days, with the mail-in voting, which I know is not the way it should be, with the early voting, yes, I know it's not the way it should be, but it is the way it is. It's easier to track votes down. This is what the left does all the time. It's what we need to do on the right. Bottom line, get involved locally in your local Republican Party, and we can change things. Now, let us check back into the newsroom with Mike Scott.
Mike Coolidge, good morning. 6:32 in our QC Kinetics newsroom. Leaders from several south suburbs struck hard by recent storms came together Sunday to ask for federal help on the long road to recovery.
In a matter of minutes, homes were damaged, businesses were disrupted, roads were blocked, power was knocked out, and families saw the places they call home transformed.
Linwood Mayor Jada Curry on Sunday, those elected officials stood with one message for the Trump administration and FEMA. They need help, and they need help now. Days of storms and flooding in Indiana have left 7 dead in that state as floodwaters begin to recede in Indianapolis near the White River and elsewhere. In northwest Indiana, over 108,000 have not had electricity restored by NIPSCO nearly a week after the storms. Senator Bill Cassidy is taking aim at President Trump's executive order focused on childhood vaccines. Appearing on ABC's This Week, the Louisiana Republican called the action, quote, a stupid thing to do, end quote.
Now, this is going to drive up the cost of your life, inconvenience you tremendously, and your child's getting 6 jabs, not 2.
The order would push for all childhood immunizations to be administered in separate medical visits instead of one visit. The memorandum of understanding that was supposed to help find a way to end the U.S.-Iran skirmish expires today. Both sides accuse the other of violating terms of that deal. Tropical storm Lala losing a bit of strength as it moves westward away from the Big Island of Hawaii.
At least one person is dead and thousands are without power after Lala blew through. The latest update from the National Hurricane Center puts the storm about 270 miles west of Honolulu with maximum sustained winds of roughly 60 miles per hour. This after torrential rain caused widespread flooding and mudslides on the Big Island of Hawaii. I'm Mark Mayfield.
At least one person is dead and thousands remain without power. 16 teens face trespassing charges for breaking into the shuttered Congress Theater in Chicago on Friday night. Chicago's Mount Carmel football team, in their quest for a 5th consecutive IHSA state title, has suffered an early hiccup. According to multiple reports in the Sun-Times and Tribune, the IHSA has suspended Mount Carmel head coach Jordan Lynch for 2 practices and placed the program on probation for the rest of the season after the Caravan practiced in full pads earlier than state rules allow. Mount Carmel self-reported the violation on August 10. Cardinals cruise to an 11-4 win over the Cubs. Cubs host the White Sox tonight after the White Sox swept out the Tigers in Detroit with a 7-5 win. The news, a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks, 708-889-5600. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Alex Marlow understands why Iran is still fighting.
They see it as a win-win, and they see that they can beat Trump in an attritional manner. Basically, they can hold on longer if they're willing to hold on longer. And we lose the war at home, the PR war, then they feel like they can declare victory. And so the longer they can drive this thing out, the better. That's their approach.
The Alex Marlow Show. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They're in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because Rhino Shield is backed by a 25-year warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick. Put down that paintbrush and pick up your phone. Give Rhino Shield a call at 847-850-1132. Call now and receive 10% off the regular price. Or go to ChicagoRhinoShield.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. It still looks great.
For your 10% off, call now, 847-850-1132. Or go to ChicagoRhinoShield.com.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Since 2007, Folds of Honor has awarded nearly 73,000 educational scholarships, over $340 million to the children and spouses of America's fallen and disabled military heroes and first responders. This year alone, 7,700 qualified applicants didn't receive funding, not because they didn't deserve it, because resources ran out. You can change that. On Saturday, September 12th, you're invited to an exclusive VIP concert experience at a private estate in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, featuring Gary LaVox of Rascal Flatts and the Swan Brothers, benefiting Folds of Honor. This is an intimate evening with incredible live music and an even more incredible cause. Tickets are limited, and if you own a business, this is your chance to put your brand behind something that truly matters. Honor their sacrifice, educate their legacy, make lifetime memories. For tickets or business sponsorship opportunities, visit foldsconcert.com. That's foldsconcert.com. Saturday, September 12th. Don't miss it. foldsconcert.com.
The new All-Pro battery by Steel. Tackle any task with 60% more peak power. Exclusively available only at your local Steel dealer. 60% peak power comparison between AP300PC and AP300S.
Team Hochberg Traffic Center time at 6:38. Kennedy, stop and go, outbound, Canfield out to I-190, headed for the big airport this morning. Stop and go on the Reagan I-88 eastbound right at Roosevelt. Route 53 shut down southbound side from Northwest Highway to right before Euclid as you head into the construction zone. All closed due to an accident. Again, everything is blocked right now at Northwest Highway with that accident. Traffic, a service of rockauto.com. Well, you know a bent tie rod can quickly bring a drive to a halt. For the parts needed to get back on the road, visit rockauto.com. Find a wide selection of quality parts at reliably low prices. Delivered right to your door, all the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, and up next, a check of the morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will feature partly sunny skies, pleasant conditions, and lower humidity levels with a high temperature of 80. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 65. Tomorrow, expect humid weather with a mix of clouds and sun, along with widely scattered afternoon thunderstorms. Be cautious of possible ponding on streets and highways. The high temperature will reach 83. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
If you were to win in November, Dr. El-Sayed, how do you make Medicare for All a reality when so far it has not had enough support?
Well, Kristen, I've been up and down my state. And everywhere I go, people say the same things. It just shouldn't be this hard. And one of the big things that they bring up is the fact that they're worried about having to see a doctor if they get sick and what that'll mean for them. The median deductible, meaning the money that you pay to get the health care you already thought you paid for every single month, is about $4,500 for a family of four. That, considering the fact that the median income is about $80,000, means that you're going to lose more than a whole paycheck just to actually pay for the health care you thought you already paid for. Our system has only gotten less and less effective, less efficient over time as we've watched health insurance corporations collude with big hospitals and the pharmaceutical industry to figure out how to pick more and more of our dollars out of our pocket to put into theirs. We don't have to live like this. We have an opportunity to guarantee cradle-to-grave health care from the moment that somebody is born to the moment that they expire, God willing, at 120 years of life after a long, healthy life in their sleep peacefully. And it would guarantee them the health care that they need, independent of the circumstances, wherever they needed to go. That is the kind of security we've never had in this country, and is the kind of security that the healthcare corporations have denied us. So we're watching more people support Medicare for All every day. We're watching more elected officials support Medicare for All every day. And in a lot of ways, this campaign was a referendum on whether or not we want health care here or bomb somewhere else. And I think the Michigan voter chose health care here.
We're seeing a lot of and hearing a lot of idiots and really dumb people calling for Medicare for All. Joining us on the phone right now is the general manager at WRFH 101.7 FM of Hillsdale, Michigan. He's a lecturer in journalism at Hillsdale College and a born and bred Illinoisan, even though he's now a Michigander, as they call themselves there. Scott Bertram, welcome on to Chicago's Morning Answer.
Mike, I did not need to start my week by hearing Abdul El-Sayed picture me dying peacefully in my sleep at the age of 120. That was very odd.
Wasn't it? Wasn't it? And you probably got bombarded with him nonstop in the last couple of weeks before the election that you guys had there.
Yes, we saw a lot of him. We saw a lot of ads. You know, Abdul El-Sayed ran for governor a couple of years ago, and I've heard a little less of it this time around. But there was a lot of talk of him being I can't remember who it was, the Arab Obama, the Muslim Obama, but sort of implying that he had the same sort of gravitas and political skill, and he was very suave and just like Barack Obama. And having watched him now for two whole campaign cycles, or at least 1.5 campaign cycles, I don't really see much of that at all in Abdul El-Sayed, other than the fact that the media and Democrats wish to prop him up in that manner.
Yeah, not to get too into the weeds here, but looking at all the counties that voted for El-Sayed in Michigan and the ones that voted for Stevens, who compared to him, I guess, is slightly more moderate, but she won a lot of the cities. She won a lot of the urban areas in Michigan, and he won the non-urban areas. But he was predicted to really clobber her, wasn't he? And he only barely won by 1%. What was that about, and why do you think that was? Was that a polling discrepancy, or did she just have a really late surge, Stevens?
Polling is notoriously very tough in Michigan. You might remember a semi-big error in the Bernie Sanders-Hillary Clinton primary race from 2016. I did not believe any of those polls leading up to the race that had El Sayed up 17, 18, 22 points. A lot of those were funded by El Sayed super PACs, which take with a grain of salt. And I did not feel that was, the way the race was going to play out. A 1 to 2 point race, which is what we ended up getting, is about what I thought it was going to be. And it was a toss-up in terms of which candidate was going to win. Now, you're semi-right, semi-wrong on what happened in the state. El Sayed really only ran up the score in two places, in Ann Arbor and also in Grand Rapids. Western Michigan used to be a bastion of conservatism, and much like Chicago's collar counties, in recent years it's been trending a little more blue and a little more radical in those Democratic areas. So El Sayed won Ann Arbor, won the Grand Rapids area like 65-35, and he won a handful of counties around the state as well. But Hillary Stevens won Wayne County, where Detroit is, because black voters don't want socialism. And Hillary Stevens ended up winning a lot of the more rural counties around the state, too. She won more counties than El Sayed, but El Sayed really ran up the score in those couple of places that he did win.
Interesting. And when listeners just heard him, and by the way, why this is so important is because it is one of the few seats in the country that could flip from D to R. So there are some predictions that Susan Collins might lose in Maine, who's a Republican, so that would flip to the D. And I really doubt this is going to happen, but some people are thinking that the Texas Senate races could flip from R to D. But, the Democrats only need 3 or 4 seats, and they'll control the Senate. And many are predicting, not most, but many are, or most I should say probably too, are predicting that the Democrats will likely take the House. But the Senate, in this Senate seat in Michigan, could flip to Mike Rogers. So how do you, at this stage, see that shaping out? Is Rogers running a good campaign? Is El Sayed going to embarrass himself? I mean, he didn't sound that dumb compared to some of these other Democrat candidates we've heard and seen. He doesn't seem to be that, inept.
Well, let's start here. Michigan does not have a great history of electing Republican U.S. senators. I believe there's been one in the past 40 years or so. You'd have to double check me on that. And it came in 1994 in the Newt Gingrich wave of 94. Now, Mike Rogers nearly won last cycle running against a highly skilled, highly supported by Democrat candidate in Alyssa Slotkin, who is now a U.S. Senator. That race was incredibly tight. Mike Rogers ran a very good race and ended up a few thousand votes short across the state. So he came back for another bite of the apple this time around. And I think there was initially a little Rogers fatigue, like, we just saw you. We want to have you again? I'm not sure about that. However, the way this race has worked out, they essentially cleared the field for Rogers. He had no significant primary opposition for most of his campaign, and now gets to run a race against Abdul El Sayed. And Mike Rogers is, I don't want to say uniquely, but is very qualified to run the kind of race that's going to be needed to beat Abdul El Sayed, meaning Rogers is endorsed by President Trump. He's not a hard, the left would call it, the left would say he's not a hard right kind of guy. He's a guy who's going to be acceptable to the right. He's a guy who's going to be acceptable to mainstream conservatives, right of center voters, probably can appeal to moderate independents, and also can appeal to Jews, pro-Israel voters who are completely turned off by Abdul El Sayed and what the Democratic Party is becoming today. There was a Fox News poll late last week that had him up 4 points. Again, polling Michigan is very, very tough, but I do think Rogers, as a Republican candidate, is well positioned to take advantage of the liabilities that El Sayed brings with him on the ticket.
That's somewhat encouraging. I mean, this is one of these races that us political junkies will be watching on election night in November, like refresh, see what the results are coming in, because it could be the seat that flips the entire U.S. Senate, honestly. I mean, it could be the difference between a 50-50 Senate, a 51-49 Senate, or, God forbid, a 49-51, Democrat-favored Senate for the last 2 years of Trump's presidency. Scott Bertram, you, we have to say, I should have led with this to endear you to the listeners of this program. But, you and I go way back, of course, and many of the listeners to AM 560, The Answer, hear your voice on the Hillsdale College spots that run on the station. But you and I, the biggest thing that we share in common is we voted for the same person for governor of Illinois in 2010. Tell our listeners who that is if they don't remember.
2010.
Yeah. I'm sorry, for the primary of 2010.
In the primary, yes. In the primary, yes. That would be Mr. Dan Proft.
Yes.
Dan and I are both White Sox fans. Dan and I both went to the same high school. Dan and I go way back.
I remember texting you because you had just added my show to WROK in Rockford like the year prior, and I think I asked you like, "Hey, who are you voting for in this primary?" Or maybe you asked me, I don't remember, and we both texted back, "Dan Proft. We're voting for Dan Proft. Illinois is not broken; it's fixed."
That was the tagline. Indeed,
yes. And what was his quote? He said in the debate, it was a quote from The Jerk, I think, by Steve Martin, but I don't think a lot of people got it. But he said, "I too grew up poor black in Chicago," or something like that. It was brilliant. But anyway, yes, we are both big fans of this radio program and of Dan Proft. And those White Sox, man, they won 40 games or 41 games 2 years ago and 60 last year, and now they're running away with the AL Central. What the heck happened there, Scott?
Unexpected growth in many areas. If you told me Miguel Vargas was going to be one of the best third basemen in the league this year, it would have been a surprise. Murakami's been better than perhaps many people thought, at least the rest of the league thought, because no one else wanted to sign him apparently to the kind of deal the White Sox did, a 2-year deal. I am cautiously optimistic. This pitching staff was not built to last a whole season. They expected upgrades from the minor leagues, and the problem is all those potential upgrades are either injured or scuffling at this point. And so you've got to kind of duct tape this thing the rest of the way, the last 5-6 weeks of the season, try to make the postseason and go from there.
And I mean, the Cubs and the White Sox play tonight. And the Cubs are having a pretty decent season, too. It's always fun in the Chicago area when both the Cubs and White Sox are doing well. As a White Sox fan, you hate the Cubs. But, I mean, what's the likelihood of a Cubs-White Sox World Series?
Well, still likely very small for many reasons. The greatest of which is postseason in baseball these days is a completely crapshoot. Who knows what's going to happen?
It's like 20 teams in it.
Series. That's right. I mean, so you've got a lot of chances to stub your toe along the way.
Yeah. And you excited about the Chicago Bears? They had a preseason game last night, I think, didn't they? Do you watch preseason games or no?
Saturday.
Yeah.
I do, but only because it's good to have football back, right? I just want to see them play. You can't glean too much. The coaches know what they're looking for from particular players and if they're doing right or wrong, but it's just nice to have football back on the screen. So I watched most of Saturday's game. I am excited for the Bears season, despite injuries in the secondary that are piling up. Ozzie Trapillo's back on the left side of the line. Perhaps he's just activated from the PUP list over the weekend. So I am excited.
I know you're extremely excited for the likelihood of the Chicago Bears moving to Indiana, which will be a bit closer to where you live in Michigan. So you could go to the games with probably not a whole lot of traffic to worry about compared to them staying in Illinois. Scott Bertram, Hillsdale College. Anything else you'd like to add before we say goodbye?
Look, on the Michigan Senate race, the other thing about Abdul El-Sayed is there's going to be a lot coming out. I don't think Haley Stevens' team did a great job of opposition research. I don't think she ran an extremely hard campaign against him. Seemingly every day, the Free Beacon has something else against Abdul El-Sayed. The Detroit News this past weekend actually read his book from 2020 and picked out a few things that, might have helped Haley Stevens if she would have looked at them during the primary. So there's, a couple months to go before the election, and I think we're going to see a good deal of Oppo research and just, facts about Abdul El-Sayed that might not deter hardcore Democrats from voting for him, but might appeal to those moderates and independents who are looking for a reason to cast a ballot for Mike Rogers.
Love the analysis. Scott Bertram, Hillsdale College. Thank you for coming on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
We'll be right back.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
When George Washington accepted command of the Continental Army, Americans were fighting a king and determined not to replace one form of unchecked power with another. Washington understood the difference between authority and ownership. In 1775, he declared, "When we assume the soldier, we did not lay aside the citizen." Even as commander of America's army, Washington remembered that he remained one of the people and that the power entrusted to him was never his to keep. He did not fight to rule America. He fought so Americans could govern themselves. Washington's example gave the young nation something more than victory. It gave America a standard for leadership. Those who hold power must remain accountable to the people they serve, because in a free nation, leadership is not ownership. It is a duty and a trust.
Hey Chicagoland, Jeff from Jeff Buys Your House. The military taught me that every mission is different. You assess the situation, listen to your team, then execute a plan built around what's needed. Same with helping families sell their homes. Whether it's an inherited house, a parent needing senior living, or life's just taking you in a new direction, we don't show up with a one-size-fits-all answer. We start by listening. What's your timeline? What are you worried about? What would make this easier? Then we build a solution around your needs. No repairs or clean out are necessary. You pick the timeline that works for you, keep your memories, and we handle everything else. Since 2007, our veteran-led team has earned hundreds of 5-star reviews by doing exactly that, listening first, and treating every family with respect. If you're ready for a no-obligation conversation, call us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com. That's jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
I'm not one to say I told you so, but I switched to Pure Talk over a year ago, and ever since, I've been telling people there's no better wireless company out there. Well, a few months ago, a massive survey was conducted. 123,000 people were asked to rate their wireless carrier in 4 categories: coverage, support, data, and overall value. Well, the results are in. Guess which wireless company was the only wireless company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. 5 stars, every category. To celebrate, Pure Talk is offering the first 3 months of any plan for just $15 a month, including their top-tier unlimited plan. No contract, no commitment, just a very inexpensive way to test drive the only American wireless company with 5 stars in every category. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service will take it from there. Again, pound 250 micro. And yes, I told you so.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-575-8924. 800-575-8924. That's 800-575-8924.
AM 560, The Answer.
The latest poll on this Senate race, Fox News on 270 to win, has Mike Rogers, the Republican, up by 4, 51 to 47. That's encouraging because Republicans notoriously underperform in polls. We're going to get into polling later on with Liberty Vittert, who is going to join us. But coming up after this top of the hour news break is Steve Bucci on the USS Lincoln, USS Abraham Lincoln. What is going on there? Or should we be, clutching our pearls over what our sailors are going through? or do they need to suck it up, or is there more to the story there? He's going to talk about that as well as the latest on the whole Strait of Hormuz situation. This is AM 560, The Answer on WIND Chicago.
It is still President Trump's number one goal in the Iran conflict. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Writing on Truth Social a short time ago, Iran cannot have in any way, shape, or form a nuclear weapon.
I just got off the phone with President Trump, who discussed the situation with Iran as the 60-day memorandum of understanding expires.
That memorandum set up a ceasefire as the framework for a deal that never happened. Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv.
The president told Fox News Iran should raise the white flag of surrender. He went on to say, I have no time schedule. I'm not in a hurry. The president indicating that the U.S. naval blockade is continuing to put new economic pressure on the Iranian regime, despite what the Iranians have said publicly. He said they're good poker players, but they're dying.
Iran continues to attack ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Only 5 vessels went through there over the weekend. The president also talked to Trey about his board of peace plan for Gaza, saying Hamas is giving up their weapons. The day after his special envoy, Jared Kushner, held talks with Hamas in Egypt. Now, Israel's rejected that plan as unacceptable. Kushner will meet today with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The president's also scaling back U.S. military exercises with South Korea.
Ulchi Freedom Shield is an annual set of drills designed to ensure South Korean and American troops can withstand a North Korean attack. But North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un views them as a rehearsal for an invasion of his country. President Trump announced on Truth Social yesterday the drills would be substantially reduced because it's too late to cancel. He said they send a signal that is totally inappropriate and hostile, and cited his very good relationship with Kim.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. An actress has died, Hayden Panettiere, who made a name for herself as a child and Remember the Titans.
Is Coach Yost here?
We're busy. Interviewing for head coaching jobs. Gotten 11 offers and certainly no time for you.
Panettiere later starred in the TV shows Heroes in Nashville. She was only 36, no cause of death given. America's listening to Fox News.
7:02, 66 degrees. A little lower humidity today and a fairly nice Monday setting up. 2 people were shot on the city's far south side on Sunday afternoon. The shooting happened around 4:30 in the 1100 block of South Normal. The victims, a 31-year-old man and a 40-year-old woman, are both in critical condition. Also in our QC Kinetics newsroom this morning, leaders from the south suburbs hit hard by recent storms, coming together to ask for federal help.
Disaster assistance is not a favor from the president. It's not a political reward. It's a commitment that our federal government makes to every American in a time of need. And now we are in need here in the Southland.
Cook County Commissioner Donna Miller, Governor J.B. Pritzker tried to lay some of the blame for a lack of long-term aid for the area after storms fell at the feet of the federal government.
More often, it is that FEMA is just deciding not to support. We try to step up and do whatever we can.
In Northwest Indiana, power outages continue for thousands of residents. Nearly 108,000 have not had electricity restored, over 11,000 in Maryville alone. The mayor of Robbins recovering after a shooting suspect was shot and killed by a security guard inside a local restaurant. It happened Saturday night at Harold's Chicken. Robbins Mayor Darren Bryant was simply inside the restaurant, not an intended target, and suffered only a minor injury. The town of Normal this morning is under a disaster emergency following multiple days of heavy rain, severe weather resulting in downed trees, power outages, and some major structural damage to numerous properties. And congratulations to one of Naperville's own, Candace Parker. The Naperville Central grad goes into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame this weekend.
I saw the journey to greatness. I saw the grind. And I began to learn at an early age that participation trophies were not accepted in our household.
Parker went in along with former Proviso East star, Marquette grad, and now Basketball Hall of Famer Doc Rivers, who was Mr. Basketball for the state of Illinois in 1980. Chicago sports, Bears running back Kyle Monangai left yesterday's practice with an apparent knee injury. Cardinals beat the Cubs 11-4. Cubs host the White Sox tonight after the Sox swept their series with the Tigers, picking up a 7-5 win in the finale. The news service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges. Join today, 560theanswer.com/join. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live, on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by LeavingIL.com and by Unique Wooden Flags.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds and you're overweight. Winner, winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds too. Get a quote right now at 800-555-2085, 800-555-2085, or biglou.com.
When it comes to supplements, two things matter most. One, that it works, and two, you can trust it. Rather than just tell you about Relief Factor, I want to let my audience do it. We hear from people every single day whose lives have changed, and I'd like you to hear a few of their stories. Mark was in tears from his daily hand joint discomfort, but after a week on Relief Factor, he felt 50% better, and now he barely notices any pain. He is so happy, he says he's spreading the word to everybody he knows. My hands were like Mark's. I couldn't even button my own shirt at times. Like Mark and me, there are so many people getting their life back with Relief Factor. They make it easy to find out if you'll be the next person telling us Relief Factor helped you tackle your daily aches and pain. 3 weeks for just $17.76. Call 1-800-4RELIEF. Get the 3-week quick start, $17.76. 1-800-4RELIEF. ReliefFactor.com. You'll be connected with their friendly local team, and they will do everything they can just to help. We hope you soon will be sharing your story with us.
If moving safely around your home is a concern, you deserve clear answers, not a sales pitch. Access will help you improve home accessibility with practical solutions like lifts, grab bars, and home modifications, designed to fit your home, your needs, and budget. Experienced professionals will take the time to explain your options so you can make an informed decision. If staying safe and comfortable in your home matters to you, start with a free in-home consultation. Call Access at 630-616-6249 or visit allaboutaccess.com.
The TV tide is turning, and millions of Americans are tuning to Salem News Channel. For breaking news, common sense analysis, and the conservative voices leading the conversation, SNC delivers the stories that matter most. Watch Scott Jennings, Larry Elder, Mike Gallagher, and many others tackling the issues facing our nation. Stream free on Pluto TV, Samsung TV, the Roku channel, and more. Salem News Channel, the news you want, the perspective you trust.
7:08, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Mundelein, an accident Midlothian, just north of Illinois 60, Hanover Park. Accident cleanup continues at Irving Park and Barrington Roads. Delays on 8094. Right out the eastbound off-ramp to Klein Avenue, that is shut down until the end of this month. And slowdowns on the Adams. I-90 eastbound between Meacham and Route 53. Tri-State just reported an accident. 2 left lanes blocked. Southbound at LaGrange Road, you're backed up from 75th. Traffic, a service of the AM 560 store. T-shirts, hoodies, and more when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And up next, the morning forecast. in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will feature partly sunny skies, pleasant conditions, and lower humidity levels with a high temperature of 80. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 65. Tomorrow, expect humid weather with a mix of clouds and sun, along with widely scattered afternoon thunderstorms. Be cautious of possible ponding on streets and highways. The high temperature will reach 83. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Greetings and welcome to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer. I am Mike Coolidge, filling in for the great Dan Proft. He is off today, and I believe tomorrow. He should be back midweek or so. And we've got a packed another hour for you and the person sitting next to you right now on AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. You may have heard about this whole USS Abraham Lincoln carrier situation in the Straits of Hormuz. They've been away from port for a very, very long time. Now, I am not a sailor. I was an Army guy, landlocked for all of my 6 whopping years in the United States Army. And I did the whole live in the woods for 2 years, or not 2 years, live in the swamps off of my Humvee and fighting positions for 2 weeks in JRTC, they called it in Louisiana. And I was in Kuwait and Iraq for an entire year in the Middle East there, beginning of Operation Iraqi Freedom. But I can't say that my conditions were extremely difficult for long periods of time. There's been a lot of bellyaching about these sailors on the ship, the USS Abraham in particular, because they've not been in port for a long time, meaning they haven't had an opportunity to freshen up on land and get a nice meal that isn't made by Navy cooks who usually make really good food, from what I've been told. And their showering situation is harder than it normally is. We're hearing a bunch of different things. We're also hearing from service members' parents and former sailors themselves telling these sailors who are complaining, or really, we're not hearing directly from the sailors, nor should we ever in a combat situation. We shouldn't ever hear about, soldiers directly to the media, let's say, talking about specific conditions on ships in a war zone. But we're hearing it secondhand, and the media is amplifying it. Nova Campaigns on X quotes a USS Abraham Lincoln sailor dad. Quote, "As some of you may know, my son Casey is a yellow shirt on the USS Abraham Lincoln, or ABE, A-B-E as it's called. As such, he has one of the most dangerous and physically and mentally demanding jobs on board the ship. The flight deck is nonstop. He has worked incredibly long shifts with little time off. He is not suffering. His morale and resolve are strong. He is proud to have a role in this operation. He's just one example of the many brave, resilient, and strong individuals proudly serving on the USS Abraham Lincoln. As a father, I cannot express how proud I am of my son. As an American, I am proud of the crew of the ABE, who have broken records for time at sea not seen since World War II. War is terrible, and this crew has certainly had hardships and made sacrifices, but it dishonors their service to cast them as victims. They are sailors, warriors, and Americans committed to one another and willing to fight until the job is done. You can disagree with the policy decision to put them there. That is one of the rights you have committed to protecting with their lives if necessary. They have committed to protecting, I should say. You can also acknowledge hardships without belittling the sailors or turning their service into a pitiful narrative to bolster personal agendas. Joining us on the phone right now is Stephen Bucci, who's served America, of course, for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. He's also a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Steve Bucci, welcome on to Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show, and I'm just totally surprised that you're going to bring up this issue. So,
yeah, I mean it's the hot issue right now, and you, of course, served for many more decades than I did, and a lot of other people. Well, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I would cast my vote with the dad, and with some of the other folks that are saying that this is a limited number of young men or women, we don't know who they are exactly, who have allegedly lodged these complaints to somehow to the press. And I think it's a shame because they are, frankly, whining. No offense to the Navy, but even the Navy at its worst conditions are so much better than pretty much everywhere else people go. They're not being shot at directly. They're not under fire. They're working long hours. They have not had their normal port visits that you get in peacetime when you do deployments.
They never have to worry about the elements either. They don't have to worry about weather, right? Like those of us who were sleeping outside.
Like we did. No, they're not getting rained on to sleep. They may have to go out on the deck and do stuff outside in the rain and the weather. And weather at sea can be pretty nasty. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But it's, they get to then go inside essentially a gigantic metal building that floats around on the ocean and take a shower and get dry. Look, I don't want to get into the service differences and cultural differences because the majority of the people on that ship, there are a couple of thousand sailors on that ship. And we think there's probably about 6 of them that are the genesis of these complaints and this whining to the press and to, certain members of Congress, some who really should know better, but they're joining in because it's advantageous to them being able to criticize President Trump. But the majority of those young folks are doing their jobs. They're doing it well. They're not complaining. They're embarrassed as all get out that somebody is complaining that they only had, a hot dog and 1 corn dog, as opposed to the normally gigantic meals that they get. Look, it's been checked by the commander of CENTCOM, who's a Navy admiral. So
and he went to the ship.
Yeah, and others. And this is a non-issue. This is, as I saw one tweet yesterday, look, they're on deployment. Service members always complain about their conditions when they're on deployment. They usually just do it to each other.
Right.
And,
which is okay.
And then at the end of the deployment, it's a badge of honor. Oh yeah, we didn't have showers for 17 days. You guys only went 15, or
right.
Those guys over there said they went 60 days without a shower. That's grotesque. Complaining is not an issue, but going to the press and trying to make it a political issue is a problem. It's wrong professionally in the ethos of the American military, and it's wrong in our system. It's actually a violation of the Uniform Code of Military Justice because you are attacking your chain of command.
Yes.
Right? They didn't go to the IG, to the Inspector General, which is where you're supposed to go if you think you're being treated poorly, because I have a feeling that the IG would have kicked them out of the office for complaining about something like that.
Right.
but it's kind of an embarrassment, and it's proven to be not true. It's an exaggeration beyond the fact that true. They're on the longest deployment that anybody's been on since World War II. Okay, we're having a war. Sorry, the war started towards the end of your scheduled deployment. That doesn't mean, okay, well, we're just going to ignore the needs of the situation and let you guys go because your time was up. We'll just let you go. Sorry, that's not the way it works.
No, that is not how it works and has ever worked in any war ever. What do you think of the larger sort of problem here? And you alluded to it with the media. Let me read a post from Infantry Dort, an account I follow on X. The dead giveaway that the outrage over the Navy is an op is quite simple, really. The media is highlighting more and more ships, not just the Lincoln, just amplifying rumors and capitalizing on the stresses of combat to sow discord. As a result, the media is directly responsible for reducing the good order and discipline of sailors across the globe, causing them to question their chain of command at scale. At sea, this can be deadly. Their aim is to also remove our fleet from the seas, helping our enemies have more freedom of maneuver. Don't be fooled. They don't care about service members. In fact, they only love us when we're dead. That's a little extreme. And in this age, that's not even a guarantee. Treat them with the contempt they deserve. Little too strong words, Steve Bucci?
The last part about not caring about you're dead, that's a bit much. But I understand what he's saying. Most of these journalists and the politicians that are talking about it too, like Mark Kelly, they could care less about these kids. This is an opportunity to run a story. You know, every Cub reporter out there is trying to get themselves a Pulitzer because they're going to break this big story and they're going to have the interview with the guys who have the smoking gun. It's not a smoking gun. It's a cold corn dog. I'm sorry. Right. You know, that is not a heinous crime. The soldiers or the sailors are being fed. They're being cared for. Maybe not at the ultimate level that the Navy sometimes does. They have really good food on those ships.
Yeah.
For a long time, you know, they start their deployment walking around on top of the darn boxes because they carry so much food with them. But eventually it runs down. They get replenished regularly. There are ships that go into port, not for a night out, but because they got to pick up supplies that they then bring to the ships that are not going into port. But when you're at war, you know, the standard recreational rotation part doesn't happen, guys. Sorry.
Right. That's part of that's what you go through in training too at Naval Great Lakes Station right here in Illinois. These sailors, like you endure hardships, often worse than what you actually experience, so that when you are in the real world combat situation, you suck it up. You remember, oh shoot, you know, this is what I trained for. This is the hard part that we were always taught about in the training that we went through. Real quick, just the larger thing. President Trump said the U.S. military now controls the Strait of Hormuz. What do you make of that? And is that realistic? And what's going on there?
Well, you know, again, President Trump is, you know, using the language and seeing one thing and other people are seeing another. Look. Do we really control the Straits of Hormuz? Yes, as much as anybody does, we control it. We've got our ships out there. We've got our aircraft. The Iranians don't control the Straits of Hormuz, but they are still capable of doing pinpoint malicious activity, shooting at ships. And in the big scheme of things, the insurance companies and the ship companies, the ones who own the vessels, are very nervous that their ships not be hurt. So a lot of them are standing back, not going through, because there is still the random and occasional danger that's there. We have not eliminated the danger completely. That's not what President Trump means when he says we control it. I wish that was the case, and that's what we're all hoping for, but we're not there yet.
And the territory thing,
than it was.
The territory. He mentioned we're going to turn it into a U.S. territory, like the Panama Canal used to be. Is that how serious is he about that?
I think that's Trumpian hyperbole, I'm afraid. I don't think we want to do that, and I don't think we can do that. Those are international waters. We can volunteer with other countries to try and make it safe and eliminate even those random attacks that are still occurring, and we should try and do that, but we don't need to take control of it, and I don't think Trump really wants to either. I think he's just getting impatient, and that was an impulsive comment that is probably not based in accuracy.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades, and we always enjoy listening to you when you're when you come on for Dan. And as me, Mike Coolidge, hosting for you, it's always an honor to speak with you, Stephen Bucci. Thanks for coming back onto Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's always my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We will be right back.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron. Christian Healthcare Ministries is not another health insurance policy. If you're tired of year-long contracts and pointless restrictions, CHM offers anytime enrollment on your schedule and at your convenience. With CHM, you're paying half the cost of a traditional health insurance plan. So that puts more money back into your budget for everyday needs. Plus, you'll have access to CHM's care solutions for virtual appointments, prescription savings, surgery support, and more. My family and I joined in 2018, and it's changed our lives for the better. We love paying way less while helping other believers afford their medical bills. Take the leap of faith and see why Christians across the nation are better with CHM.
Get started by calling 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS for a 50% credit towards your first month. That's 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS.
If you're looking to purchase a loved one's home after they passed away, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Pam wanted to purchase her grandmother's $400,000 home after she passed away, which was left to Pam's father, Ted, and her Aunt Betty. Ted listens to my show and wanted to forego his half of the equity of his mom's home and sell Pam the home for $200,000. Bad move. I recommended Pam purchase the home for $400,000 and get a gift of equity from her father, Ted, for $200,000, which enable Pam to purchase the home with a lower rate and no money out of her pocket. Let's review. I helped Pam purchase her grandmother's home without having to bring a penny to the closing and secure a lower rate. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Atlantic Coast Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 643-114.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore. Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again. Not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency, both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family owned with integrity since 1981.
Picture this, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, 2 outs, and the IRS is on the hill throwing nothing but heat and chin music. Back taxes, bank levies, wage garnishments, tax liens. You're down in the count. Time to call in a pinch hitter. At PJN Tax Solutions Group, we are your pinch hitter. We deal with the revenue officers so you don't have to. PJN Tax Solutions Group is a local tax resolution firm located right here in St. Charles, Illinois. Don't call some 1-800-FIRM 10 states away. We're right here. When the IRS tries to steal home with your paycheck, we throw them out. When they load the bases with bank levies and wage garnishments, we strike them out.
Strike three, you're out.
It's a full count and the game is on the line. Are you stepping up alone or are you bringing in a professional? Call PJN Tax Solutions Group now. 630-415-5296. Again, 630-415-5296. Or just Google, I want the IRS off my ASS.
AM 560, The Answer.
A message to you, Chicago's Morning Answer, AM 560, The Answer. Dan Proft's show. I'm just filling in. Mike Coolidge in for Dan. I could have been Mike Scott if my dad took his stepdad's name, and you'd have two Mike Scotts this morning. But right now...
That's unacceptable, sir.
I know. I offended you when I told you I could have been a Mike Scott as well. But
we could have been pitchers, too.
That's right. Fantastic split-finger fastball from
Correct.
the 80s. Turning it back over to Mike Scott in the newsroom. Here we go.
QC Kinetics newsroom time is 7:30. Two were shot on the city's far south side. It happened Sunday afternoon in the 1100 block of South Normal. Police say two victims, a 31-year-old man and 40-year-old woman, were approached by three armed men who fired and fled. Both victims are in critical condition. Mideast negotiator and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner is meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after the premier rejected the 15-point U.S.-backed roadmap to move the truce deal forward in Gaza. President Donald Trump ordering the Pentagon to scale back annual joint military exercises with South Korea.
Ulchi Freedom Shield is a 10-day exercise that takes place around this time each year. We're told it'll reflect the changing character of war. That includes the use of unmanned systems, electronic warfare and cyber operations. Commanders are also aware of the combat experience North Korean soldiers have gained fighting for Russia in Ukraine. While the Allies say the drills are defensive, Pyongyang denounces Ulchi Freedom Shield as a provocation. The United States and South Korea are in the process of handing over operational wartime control from Washington to Seoul. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
Authorities are seeking additional people who fired weapons during a weekend shooting at Virginia State University that left 5 severely hurt. A 19-year-old suspect is in custody. Investigators are trying to determine if others who fired weapons simply did so in self-defense or if they were the aggressors. Chicago police are searching for a dirt bike rider accused of striking a cyclist last month on the city's near north side. It happened July 20th in the 1400 block of DuSable Lakeshore Drive when the woman riding her bike on the lakefront trail was struck, suffered serious injuries. The dirt bike rider fled the scene and, according to police, remains on the loose. Stellantis this morning says they're going to put more money in the assembly plant in Belvidere. The automaker announcing it's boosting its investment in the idled factory to $800 million and launching a new STLA 1 platform there. Stellantis also plans to build the next generation Jeep Cherokee at the plant starting in 2029. Cardinals over the Cubs 11-4. Cubs host the White Sox tonight after the White Sox swept out the Tigers with a 7-5 win in the Sunday finale in Detroit. The news a service of the AM 560 store. T-shirts, hoodies, and more when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher chooses his words carefully.
They're going to destroy President Trump's agenda with these DSA freaks who are winning elections all over America. And yes, I use that word carefully. After much consideration, freakish is the only way to describe a platform that advocates for the abolition of the presidency, the Senate, the Supreme Court, the borders, no police. These are a bunch of nutcases.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, offers Chicago businesses relationship-first banking. Signature knows your name and your story because personalized banking still matters. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature is where I do my business banking.
Hi, I'm Phil Silverman, CFO of Chicago Atlantic and a client of Signature. We provide capital solutions in markets where risk is often fundamentally mispriced and traditional financing can be limited. At Chicago Atlantic, success depends on experience, responsiveness, attention to detail, and an entrepreneurial mindset. That's exactly what we found with Signature. Their team understands how we operate, supports our growth, and delivers the kind of personal service that's increasingly rare in banking today. And that's exactly why we bank with Signature.
Signature helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, at 773-467-5600 or visit signature.esquirebank.com. Esquire Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The new All-Pro battery by Steel. Tackle any task with 60% more peak power. Exclusively available only at your local Steel dealer. 60% peak power comparison between AP300PC and AP300S.
736. 69 degrees this morning in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Kennedy outbound, stop and slow, North Avenue to Kimball. Eisenhower slowing up outbound between Cicero and First Avenue. Bishop Ford stop and go inbound 111th into the Dan Ryan merge. Tri-State left lane blocked with an accident southbound at LaGrange Road. And solid traffic, Route 53 southbound between Rand and Algonquin in the construction zone. Traffic a service of Aleve. At some point, body pain may creep in and become your reality that day. But Aleve is here to keep you moving. One pill, 12 hours of body pain relief. Don't let pain hold you back. Try Aleve today. As always, use as directed. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, and up next, the morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will feature partly sunny skies, pleasant conditions, and lower humidity levels with a high temperature of 80. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 65. Tomorrow, expect humid weather with a mix of clouds and sun, along with widely scattered afternoon thunderstorms. Be cautious of possible ponding on streets and highways. The high temperature will reach 83. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from the Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
(312-642-5600) is the AlphaWealthGroup.com talk and text line. You can call us or text us at that. Again, it's 312-642-5600. There's been a lot of commentary, obviously, about this whole situation with the USS Abraham Lincoln. And it's important to slow down and remember that we have a military that exists for a reason. That is to protect the U.S. Constitution, not just the USS Constitution. USS is a ship. U.S. is the United States. It's to protect the Constitution. It's to protect physically the country. Dakota Meyer is a Congressional Medal of Honor recipient. Those of us who serve in the military don't need to. We know that you don't necessarily have to put the whole congressional in front of it. It's a Medal of Honor. He posted the following about this USS Abraham situation, Abraham Lincoln. The media narrative trying to turn these sailors and Marines into victims because this deployment was hard is exactly the problem. Service is hard. Combat is hard. Go tell the World War II generation that service was supposed to be comfortable. We all missed our families. We all wanted to come home. But our commitment to this country and the American people was never conditional on our individual wants or needs, our comfort, or whether we agreed with the mission. The oath we took was unconditional. That's why it's called service and sacrifice. The mission comes first. The standards come first. Wearing the uniform is a privilege, and not everyone gets to do it. If you put that uniform on, you're making a commitment to give this country everything it asked of you and to carry out the lawful orders of the president and your chain of command. If you're not willing to do that, then get out. Thankful we have leaders, again, who are willing to say this out loud, hold the standard, and get our military dialed back in on what it exists to do. Fight and win our nation's wars. And Stephen Bucci, before the break, brought up a great point. We're talking about like 6 sailors who expressed their disgruntledness, I guess, to their parents out of thousands of sailors on this ship. We're talking about a teeny tiny percentage of it. How are the other sailors probably complaining to each other, which is totally normal and okay to do? Yes, probably. A lot of them too are probably chastising those who are complaining, saying, "Hey, suck it up. We're in combat right now, guys and gals. This is what we trained for. If we have to extend our our taste buds to something that we've eaten 3 or 4 times already and it's not that good, you know what? Things could be a heck of a lot worse. We could be in the Army or we could be in the Marines." Yeah, and being exposed to the conditions of the weather all the time, the elements, as we call it. I'm not quite sure because I've never served on a Navy ship, but I'm pretty sure they're air conditioned. Could be wrong. I know it's the desert. I know it's the summertime, but outside obviously it's hot, but you can go inside. It's nice and cool. The water in Navy ships, the water they drink, that comes from the ocean. They have these machines that turn that ocean salt water into drinkable water. It's kind of cool. They never run out of it. They're not running out of water, okay? I think the submarines have a different story. Again, I'm not a Navy guy. I don't know that. Don't quote me on this. Maybe a sailor can explain this to me on our phone or our 312-642-5600 alphawealthgroup.com talking text line. But I'm pretty sure that it is not. I'm sorry. Thank you. 5,000 crew members from 847. Yeah. 5,000 plus, a couple thousand. 5,000 is a couple thousand, excuse me. But seriously, 6 out of 5,000, that's a teeny tiny amount. That's enough to be a story, though, according to the media. And man, is it a story. Just whipping it up, just fanning the flames of discord, because it's not about the sailors. They don't care about the sailors. That I completely agree with Infantry Dort on X about. It is not about the sailors. It is about sowing discord and, of course, undermining this entire operation. Anything to make, like, the president look bad or to undermine support over this. And, of course, we can not be happy with the length of this Iran war. We all thought it would be, over a lot longer than it has been. But hey, that's war. There isn't a timeline on it. All right. We have Fred from Northfield who's spent 9 months on an aircraft carrier. Go ahead, Fred. Do we have Fred?
You hear me?
Yep. Go ahead, Fred.
Hello.
You're on there. Go ahead, Fred. You're on the air.
I was on a World War II vintage carrier during Vietnam. My fellow sailors described it as the oldest and rustiest carrier in the 7th Fleet, and it wasn't air-conditioned. When I see modern carriers, they're like luxury liners compared to what we had. We were conducting air operations 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, anywhere from 30 to 45 days straight. And we were perspiring heavily for 23 hours and 55 minutes a day, and the other 5 minutes you got to take a very quick shower. So when I hear some complaints about what's going on today, my attitude is suck it up.
Suck it up. What was the food like in your era on the Navy ships?
It was very good food. I never had a bad meal in the Navy, and especially at sea. We had underway replenishments every 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks, the salad got a little bit less than crisp. But other than that, we had excellent food. And I'm pretty sure they have food as good today as they had then. So,
I was one of the weird soldiers who liked MREs in the Army, meals ready to eat. If you eat them nonstop for 6 months, they get old and not, that can get not as yummy. But those are really easy to transport. I wonder if the sailors, if they really are hating the food right now, maybe eat some MREs. They're not that bad. Thank you, Fred. Don. Well, go ahead, Fred. Oh, sorry. We lost him. Don in Bloomingdale. Go. Sorry about that. Don, you were on the air in Bloomingdale. Go ahead. Yes.
How you doing? It's the mothers of the military that get a lot of attention. When their kid complains to mom, the mom takes it up to the next level, and complaints get heard. My son was in charge. He was a staff sergeant in the Marines stationed in Okinawa with the MEU. And there's a tradition in the Marine Corps when you get promoted, you put your lapels, your chevrons on your lapel, but you don't put the backs on. And for the whole day, your fellow Marines pound your chevrons with their fist to congratulate you. And a kid was bleeding by the end of the day, like every Marine is. It's a tradition that goes way back in time. And a kid called his mom and said, that what they did, and he thought it was pretty cool, but his mom thought it was abusive. And they charged one of the kids with hazing, and he was demoted. So it's like moms get attention. And my son used to say, MOMs, mothers of Marines. He says, if you get the MOMs mad at you, he said, the military listens to them.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate because it's like he wasn't complaining to his mom. He was just telling the story. But the mom, her little baby bleeding, that she couldn't have that. And like Steve Bucci said, if you're getting like physically abused, like a few good men level of code reds, there is something called the IG, the Inspector General, or you can do a congressional inquiry. There's a system and a process if you're getting extremely or against the law sort of orders that are coming your way that are hurting you. But eating food that you've been eating previously or not getting to shower longer than 5 minutes, those aren't the kind of things that you publicly say. George in Naperville, you have something to say about delivery on these ships. What's your recommendation?
Yeah, can't some of those mothers send some Lou Malnati's pizzas to the ones that are complaining? They mail them anywhere.
That is true. Yeah, they get mailed anywhere. I have heard that the mail is a little bit delayed there, but yes, I think that's a great idea. Let's get them some Lou Malnati's out there on their ships. We will be right back on AM 560, The Answer.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560. The Answer.
You've worked hard for everything you have. Your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. Choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.
Then we thought, what if something happens to him?
Or what if the kids can't agree? We've seen money tear families apart.
We called Home State Bank, and I wish we'd done it sooner. Home State Bank serves as trustee or executor for families across Northern Illinois, stepping in as the professional, impartial manager of your estate so your family doesn't have to carry that burden. They don't take sides, and they'll carry out your wishes exactly as you intended. Take the first step today by calling 815-459-2000 to meet with a trust officer face-to-face. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Home State Bank. Hometown professionals working together to build a stronger community since 1915.
You know that feeling when you call your insurance company and you know that you're getting put into queue? Nobody wants to go through that, specifically Tommy and TJ Iaquinta with Class A Insurance. They're a father and son team built right here in Chicago's southwest suburbs on one idea: treat people like family. See, because they're independent, they're not stuck in pushing one company policy on you, one company rates on you. They shop the best carriers in the country, names you'd recognize, and find coverage that actually fits your life, your home, your car, even your boat and motorcycle. That's why they've been named one of the top 25 home insurance agencies in Chicago. 2 generations, 1 agency. And clients that stick with them for years. When something happens and claims happen, Tommy or TJ is the one who picks up the phone and walks you through the process themselves. If you're paying for a policy you don't understand from a company you never talked to, it's simple. Head to 560insurance.com. That's 560insurance.com. Get a free quote in minutes at 560insurance.com.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because Rhino Shield is backed by a 25-year warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call at 847-850-1132. Call now and receive 10% off the regular price. Or go to ChicagoRhinoShield.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
For your 10% off, call now. 847-850-1132. Or go to ChicagoRhinoShield.com.
Since 2007, Folds of Honor has awarded nearly 73,000 educational scholarships, over $340 million to the children and spouses of America's fallen and disabled military heroes and first responders. This year alone, 7,700 qualified applicants didn't receive funding, not because they didn't deserve it, because resources ran out. You can change that. On Saturday, September 12th, you're invited to an exclusive VIP concert experience at a private estate in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, featuring Gary LaVox of Rascal Flatts and the Swan Brothers, benefiting Folds of Honor. This is an intimate evening with incredible live music and an even more incredible cause. Tickets are limited, and if you own a business, this is your chance to put your brand behind something that truly matters. Honor their sacrifice, educate their legacy, make lifetime memories. For tickets or business sponsorship opportunities, visit foldsconcert.com. That's foldsconcert.com. Saturday, September 12th. Don't miss it. foldsconcert.com.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer Line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
Are you carrying more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Do you feel like you're running on a financial treadmill, making payment after payment, month after month, yet never getting ahead? If you're tired of watching your hard-earned money disappear into interest charges, there may be options available to help you take back control of your finances. At Total Financial Freedom, they'll show you what qualified consumers may be able to save through programs designed to help them resolve debt faster than making minimum payments alone. The consultation is free, confidential, and comes with absolutely no obligation. Why spend years, sometimes decades, paying thousands in interest when there may be a better path forward? Total Financial Freedom is a Christian-owned company that has helped thousands of Americans pursue financial freedom for nearly 20 years and is proudly A+ rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now and ask how you can receive a complimentary copy of The Debt Dietitian. Stop running in place. Start moving toward financial freedom at 866-844-7344. 866-844-7344.
Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. AM 560, The Answer.
Lee in Hammond, Indiana, has a point about these sailors. Go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, you know, I wish that people, half of my wish, that they're getting this worked up over what's going on the Lincoln, would get this worked up over back to 1967, when a so-called Allies shot up, sent two sorties of fighter planes and a torpedo boat to attack one of our ships, killed 26 sailors, I think it was, wounded another 75, more than likely to try to draw us into one of their wars, and yet 50 years after the fact, it's been covered up and nobody seems to care about that.
Yeah,
and yet they worry about guys not being able to get hot chow on board an aircraft carrier.
Thank you, Lee. He's talking about the USS Liberty. Was a U.S. Navy technical research ship shot by Israel in 1967. The attack killed 34 American sailors and wounded 171 others. They sent fighter jets, torpedo boats. They said, the Israeli government, that it was a tragic accident caused by mistaking the Liberty for an Egyptian vessel in the fog of war. But there is accusations of cover-up afterwards. Israel paid over $12 million in compensation to the U.S. government and victims' families for 34 dead and 171 wounded. Even in 1967, $12 million does not sound like a lot of money. Can you imagine, God forbid, if something like that happened today? The uproar over that. On a lighter note, maybe Pizzas for Patriots can schedule an extra delivery, and that's on our Alpha Wealth Group AM 560 talk and text line, 312-642-5600. I have a quick story. Let's see if I can squeeze it in before the bottom of the hour. Talking about in my little combat experience in Operation Iraqi Freedom, in March of 2003, we're about to kick off the war. And part of my job as the S1 of the headquarters for the land operation of the personnel of the headquarters troop was to get everyone, make sure that our 2,400 soldiers and sailors and joint people, including some CIA operatives, all had dog tags on. And I had to make sure that by having a choke point at our headquarters, I physically and my staff physically saw every single dog tag to make sure that they had the blood type right. That's the most important thing. We get hit by an Al-Samud missile and you've got limbs flying everywhere. There needs a blood transfusion. You got to know what blood type the person has. That's the most important thing. Their religion too, if we're doing last rites, kind of important. And out of the 2,400 soldiers, something like 12 did not have their dog tags. So I had to figure out a way to get dog tags. And so there was one dog tag machine on post in Camp Doha, Kuwait, and guess what? It was broken. It wasn't part of my thing. It was part of the garrison's thing. And so I'm like, what do I do? So what do I do? The internet existed. I hopped on the internet and I ordered some company in North Carolina to make dog tags. I paid for it out of my own pocket. They sent it over to our headquarters. And yeah, about, I don't know, a week later, I got dog tags for those 9 people. One of them was a colonel too. He was kind of ashamed of it. Like, yeah, I didn't bring my dog tags over. How did you get into theater without your dog tags? Anyway, sometimes civilian companies step up. They should have donated it to us, but what are you going to do? I ordered them. We got them. And it was a point of pride for me when I gave that last soldier the 9th or the 12th dog tag, whatever it was, and before we actually started the war, or the liberation of Iraq, handing off that last one to them. All 2,400 out of 2,400 had their dog tags. So yeah, maybe it's not out of the question that they can figure out a way to order some pizza. Although there are MRE pizzas that they make now too, I know. Maybe airdropping them some MREs from helicopters, the pizza ones, might be might boost their morale a bit. All right, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. It is 8 o'clock on WIND Chicago.
Iran should wave the white flag and surrender. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump told Fox's Trey Yingst in a phone call this morning as the 60-day Memorandum of Understanding expires. It set up a ceasefire that didn't last and a framework for a deal never reached.
At the end of the day, the president wants 2 clear things here. He wants control of the Strait of Hormuz. There is an ongoing U.S. naval blockade that is costing the Iranian regime hundreds of millions of dollars each day. And if ultimately this leads to future negotiations, that is when Iran's nuclear program is expected to be discussed.
The president also posted on Truth Social, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. As for the Strait, where only 5 ships passed through over the weekend.
There are a lot of different players involved and talks that are taking place as we speak right now between Iran and Oman about control of the Strait of Hormuz. And the president says if Oman gets in the way, we'll bomb the S out of them.
Trey also reports from Tel Aviv. They talked about another conflict, Gaza, the day after U.S. Special Envoy Jared Kushner held talks in Egypt with Hamas's leader.
The president said that they have a different channel with Hamas and that ultimately they are giving up their guns, talking about the demilitarization of the Gaza Strip.
But Israel's rejected the Trump Board of Peace plan. Today, Kushner meets with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. She was famous for acting and singing. Hayden Panettiere, who got her start as a child actress, has died at age 36. Fox's Todd Pyro reports she's best known for
Heroes, where she jumped to international fame playing a superpowered high school cheerleader. She later starred in the musical drama Nashville, where she saw both career and commercial success, earning 2 Golden Globe nominations and having multiple songs on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart.
This time will stop, but there's a little light glowing.
No cause of death has been given for Panettiere, who leaves behind an 11-year-old daughter who lives in Ukraine with her father, former heavyweight boxing champion Vladimir Klitschko. America's listening to Fox News.
69 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 2 were shot on the city's far south side Sunday afternoon. Gunfire broke out around 4:30 in the afternoon in the 1100 block of South Normal. The victims, a 31-year-old man and 40-year-old woman, approached by 3 men armed, who then fired and fled on foot. Both victims this morning are in critical condition. Leaders from several south suburbs hit hard by recent storms are coming together to try and call for more federal help.
In a matter of minutes, homes were damaged, businesses were disrupted, roads were blocked, power was knocked out, and families saw the places they call home transformed.
Linwood Mayor Jada Curry and others had one message for the Trump administration and FEMA. They need help, and they need help now. In Northwest Indiana, power outages continue for thousands of residents. Nearly 108,000 have not had power restored nearly a week after the storms. 16 teens are facing trespassing charges for breaking into the shuttered Congress Theater in Chicago. 2 of the teens were also cited for having replica firearms. The incident took place nearly a week after police shut down an unsanctioned rave at that theater. And congratulations to one of Naperville's own, Candace Parker. The Naperville Central grad went into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame this weekend.
I saw the journey to greatness. I saw the grind. And I began to learn at an early age that participation trophies were not accepted in our household.
Parker went in along with former Proviso East star and now Basketball Hall of Famer Doc Rivers. Cardinals beat the Cubs 11-4. They host the White Sox tonight. The Cubs do, while the White Sox swept their series against the Tigers with a 7-5 win. The news, a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Interest rates on U.S. Treasuries are off recent highs, with anticipation the Federal Reserve will not be raising interest rates in September, following last week's cooler inflation and retail sales numbers. Though analysts at ProBank say any escalation of Mideast tensions could push up crude oil prices and change the scenario. Brent crude, the global benchmark, is at $89 a barrel this morning. West Texas Intermediate U.S. oil is at 82. The Wall Street Journal says trading firm Jane Street saw a loss of about $15 billion when hedge fund Situational Awareness slumped in July. Nestle is working on new products for people taking weight loss medications, a new line of food, snacks, and beverages. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live, on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by LeavingIL.com and by Unique Wooden Flags.
Since 2007, Folds of Honor has awarded nearly 73,000 educational scholarships, over $340 million to the children and spouses of America's fallen and disabled military heroes and first responders. This year alone, 7,700 qualified applicants didn't receive funding, not because they didn't deserve it, because resources ran out. You can change that. On Saturday, September 12th, you're invited to an exclusive VIP concert experience at a private estate in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, featuring Gary LaVox of Rascal Flatts and the Swan Brothers, benefiting Folds of Honor. This is an intimate evening with incredible live music and an even more incredible cause. Tickets are limited, and if you own a business, this is your chance to put your brand behind something that truly matters. Honor their sacrifice, educate their legacy, make lifetime memories. For tickets or business sponsorship opportunities, visit foldsconcert.com. That's foldsconcert.com. Saturday, September 12th. Don't miss it. foldsconcert.com.
When it comes to supplements, two things matter most. One, that it works. And two, you can trust it. Rather than just tell you about Relief Factor, I want to let my audience do it. We hear from people every single day whose lives have changed, and I'd like you to hear a few of their stories. Mark was in tears from his daily hand joint discomfort, but after a week on Relief Factor, he felt 50% better, and now he barely notices any pain. He is so happy, he says he's spreading the word to everybody he knows. My hands were like Mark's. I couldn't even button my own shirt at times. Like Mark and me, there are so many people getting their life back with Relief Factor. They make it easy to find out if you'll be the next person telling us Relief Factor helped you tackle your daily aches and pain. 3 weeks for just $17.76. Call 1-800-4RELIEF. Get the 3-week quick start, $17.76. 1-800-4RELIEF. ReliefFactor.com. You'll be connected with their friendly local team, and they will do everything they can just to help. We hope you soon will be sharing your story with us.
Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Stop and go on the Kennedy outbound, Ohio out to Pulaski. Ike on the outbound side, jammed up Cicero to Des Plaines. Inbound Stevenson, you're on the brakes, Central to Pulaski. Lakeshore Drive, tap of the brakes, northbound between Foster and Hollywood. Stop and go traffic on I-88, the Reagan eastbound between Cermak and the Tri-State. Route 53, heavy and solid southbound, all due to road work between Palatine Road and Algonquin. Traffic, a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And up next, check the morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will feature partly sunny skies, pleasant conditions, and lower humidity levels with a high temperature of 80. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 65. Tomorrow, expect humid weather with a mix of clouds and sun, along with widely scattered afternoon thunderstorms. Be cautious of possible ponding on streets and highways. The high temperature will reach 83. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Yes. Welcome to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer, with Dan Proft. It will be with Dan Proft later on this week. It is not right now. It is with yours truly, Mike Coolidge. That's spelled with a K. Honored, again, to be filling in on the greatest radio show in the United States of America and in the Western Hemisphere. As I've said before, there's one better show. It's on in Madagascar only, and it does not stream, so you have to go to Madagascar to listen to it. And there's not many issues and topics that Dan talks about that are as evergreen, it's a radio term we use, meaning you can talk about it anytime, than this whole data center situation, right? There's rarely anything in the news that comes up where it's like a new development in the data center story or controversy. It's just they're existing, they're being built slowly but surely, and they're being stopped from being built in certain areas. Maybe your area. I know where I live. I live in rural Illinois, northern Illinois, way out beyond the suburbs of Chicagoland, and they're talking about them out here, and a lot of people have major problems with them. They're also being talked about in urban areas and in suburban areas. Our next guest is somebody who's been on the show many times. He joins Dan regularly. He's the director of research at Manhattan Institute and an author of The Dead Pledge, The Origins of the Mortgage Market and Federal Bailouts. Let's see how many things I can get wrong about him. He has the worst name, as Dan says, in policy. He does not, he has a terrible radio voice, I've been told, and is dead set against data centers. Not only does he not want any more constructed, he wants the current ones to be destroyed, but just in the United States. Judge Glock, welcome back on the Chicago's Morning Answer. Did I get all that right?
That's basically correct. Thank you so much for having me.
No, I think it's the opposite of all of those things.
The opposite of all of those.
Yeah, strike that and reverse it. I've heard you on the show many times before, and I heard you on Fox News recently as well, talking about data centers. And I always tell people I am 70% for them, 30% against them, and that kind of fluctuates. I go down a little bit when I hear about how some of them were constructed without the approval of the people. You know, the city council kind of just got it through without really telling anyone about it, and that really ticks off citizens when that kind of stuff happens. And then you hear about water and how much it consumes, but then you hear that it barely consumes a fraction of almond places in California, or it's about as much as a golf course, which everybody loves golf courses. And there isn't any latest updates on data centers, but give us the pro on them, because you're very pro construction of data centers, because I know we're going to get blowback from our listeners on this. So give the Reader's Digest version of why you were so pro data centers.
Well, I am pro, and I should start off by saying that in general, but there are certain circumstances in certain communities where it may not be appropriate, or where people may not just want them. And I'm totally accepting of that and understanding of that. But if people are going to debate whether or not they want a data center in their local community, they should do it based on the real facts. And so the basic facts are that data centers are a local economic development tool, just like basically any other. Local communities all across America, they're fighting over trying to get factories. They're fighting over trying to get power plants. They're fighting over even sometimes landfills if they provide enough jobs and local tax revenue. Some communities will want those sorts of industries and some won't, and that's okay, and data centers are no different. The thing about data centers, though, is that, one, they have very few negative effects to the local community. Basically, it's not like a lot of, say, if you have a factory nearby or a power plant that's going to be spewing smoke in the air all the time. There's very little pollution coming out of them. There's not even that much traffic that comes through them. They basically require no city services. You basically have to have a road come out there, and you have some power lines, and they basically take care of themselves. And despite that, they throw up a ton of local tax revenue, and that's very important. You've seen numerous places in the U.S. where about half of their taxes are now coming from data centers. And that allows the local city council or county commissioners or whomever to cut taxes, to improve schools, to do a lot of the other things. So there's a lot of benefits. There's minimal downsides. I can talk a little bit more on the downsides if you'd like, because I understand some of those concerns, and we can drill into those.
All right. Well, what about the biggest one I have is the displacement of farmland where we live. It's the one thing they're not making more of, as they say, is land. But we see a lot of these data centers gobbling up otherwise fertile, awesome, perfect for growing corn and soybeans and so much other farmland. You know, in one of the most fertile areas in the world, the Midwest United States. And that's what we're primarily talking about here, obviously, because we're a Midwestern show. What about that?
Well, so if one is concerned about farmland loss, data centers should probably be like number 38 on your list of concerns for farmland loss. Like, the main reason we're losing farmland in the United States is residential growth, suburban growth, sprawl outwards. I think a lot of people have concerns about sprawl. On the whole, I also think that's good. We want more single-family homes for Americans. We want people to be able to afford more homes, and we need to do that by growing, including growing outward. But data centers, we're talking about these data centers. They're usually taking up, at most, in most communities, a few dozen acres. Like, in a lot of places, a data center can be, just 2 or 3 acres, and that's going to be it. This is a relatively minimal loss of farmland. Again, you compare it to, say, a local car factory, which is actually in most cases going to be much larger. Data centers just aren't that big a deal in terms of gobbling up land because they shove all of these computers so tightly together into this small space. So I think it can be a concern, but again, the data centers should be very low on your list of concerns about loss of farmland.
And some of these questions might sound stupid, but they're ones I have, and I know I've heard them from other people too. But like, why can't they make the data centers way deep in the ground, or take up, let's say, a much smaller footprint, but just a much deeper hole into the ground, so that they're not taking up? Because so many of them seem so expansive, like these ugly, terrible solar panel farms. What about digging deep versus expanding outward?
Okay, so this gets to the visual impact, which is a concern of local communities, and I understand it. If you have a new 100-foot tall data center that's looming right over your local neighborhood and maybe looming over your local baseball diamond, then yeah, I can see that concern. Some people don't care as much. Some people do care, and that's okay. That's America. We can have different preferences. On the whole, though, on the visual impact, despite them being a little taller in some cases than, say, an Amazon fulfillment center, they're not that different from that. They're basically a big, not particularly attractive concrete box. America is filled with big, not particularly attractive concrete boxes. A lot of our economy runs off those concrete boxes, not just data centers, but warehouses, fulfillment centers, factories that are low slung and so forth. So that's pretty similar. Yes, they tend to be a little bit taller, but not so tall. I mean, not as tall as a local office park in a community. And like anything, yes, you could dig it down into the ground, but digging costs a lot of money. The more you dig, the more you got to pay, and especially when you're talking over a couple of acres, that's going to raise costs significantly. Maybe in some communities that's worth it to say, hey, if you want to build, just dig a little bit lower for it. But in most cases, my kind of solution is just push it a little further out. If you're concerned about the visual impact, if the thing's 2 miles down the road, it's basically not bothering anybody. And there's plenty of places in America to put a data center 2 miles down the road from a local community.
Well, we're talking about where I live. 2 miles down the road is us. Rochelle. Look it up on a map. We're the ones who are saying, no, guys. And I know this is NIMBY. This is not in my backyard. But so many of us have been inundated with these windmills, which are a whole issue, I know, in and of themselves. And so many people who I talk to where I live hate them, and they're eyesores, and they certainly don't purport to give the sort of energy that they were promised when they were put up years ago, and killing birds and all that. That's a whole other topic, I know. But there is a lot of that angst out in rural communities like where I live. The whole fool me once thing. You guys said this about the windmills, and now these data centers. Like, we're always the redheaded stepchild of those. And I'm sorry if you're redheaded too, Judge. I know we've been hammering you a lot here. But what and the energy thing too is a big question as well. The energy consumption and the water. Can you dispel that? If you will, and then talk about the positives, because I know we've only been given the negatives.
Well, so we can talk about the energy effect, including from potentially building more unnecessary windmills and solar panels. And in general, I think those are just downstream of the fact that the federal government is giving excessive subsidies to these sorts of energy production, these renewable energy installations, and they are some of the most land-hungry types of energy you can imagine, windmills and solar panels. A little oil derrick or a nodding donkey, those little wobbling things you see out maybe in Texas or out in the country, those can produce as much energy as sometimes acres of solar panels or something else. So that concern, again, I get it and understand it. But just one more thing on like the local communities who feel like they're having this shoved down their throat.
Yeah.
Like, in general, some of them are, but most of the times, if you talk to a lot of rural communities, it's a trade-off. They understand trade-offs, just like they understand, hey, we're not thrilled maybe about a local power plant coming to our neighborhood, or not right into the neighborhood, but into the county. But, hey, we understand there's property taxes. We understand there's good jobs. We're willing to do that trade-off. And you have all of these rural counties, say in like Richland Parish in Louisiana, where their teachers are now getting double the salary that they were before. Their taxes are going down. All of these benefits are coming from the data centers, and they understand there's negative effects too. But a lot of these rural counties are desperate for jobs and money, as they should be, and that's the trade-offs they have to weigh. And I think that the property tax thing is such a huge thing here, because you do have places like Quincy, Washington, or I wrote a long piece on Loudoun County, Virginia, where almost half of all their taxes are coming from data centers. And in Loudoun, that's allowed them to cut the property tax rate by almost 40%. That's allowed them to have absolutely beautiful schools, well-appointed, nice, smooth roads, a good police force, great community parks, and all of the rest of that. And are some people concerned about the noise and the visual impact? Yeah, and that's understandable, just like they are concerned about what happens if a factory moves into community. But a lot of communities in America want to have those jobs and that money and those other benefits that come with them, and they understand the trade-offs. And I think in general, we should be allowing these local communities to make those trade-offs. And a lot of them are going to benefit, and others are going to not want it, and that's okay.
We got about a minute left for you to give forget about even the local benefits. What are the overall positive benefits for the United States of America internationally and our economy, and our expansion into space and progress and technology and all the whole reason that these are being put up in the first place.
Yeah, that's the positive effects on the economy are hard to overestimate. So basically, we have about 1.5% of our entire economy now is data centers. In the beginning parts of Trump's second term, you basically have, depending on who you ask, a third to a half to even more of all economic growth being due to data center construction. I mean, they're creating an immense amount of good blue-collar jobs. They're creating a lot of construction. They're allowing the American economy to solve unbelievably difficult problems. There's a lot of upside nationally for those. And nationally, we really have to appreciate what they're doing for the overall economy, especially what they're doing for a lot of blue-collar Americans who are trying to get jobs, who are trying to get construction work, and aren't being able to get it because of a lot of other opposition out there.
763, just what does a data center do? Can you encapsulate that in 30 seconds?
It's tough, and it definitely depends on the data center. So there's all types, and basically a data center is a collection of different computer chips that communicate with each other. A lot of them are being built today because of artificial intelligence, and a lot of those are when you type in something to Google or into Claude or to open ChatGPT, they're answering those questions. They're talking to each other and trying to figure it out and then sending the answers back to you. And they're also just connecting different computers and websites on the internet. So a lot of different things that we all use every day, all of the time.
Judge Glock, we really appreciate your time and enlightening us on this. This topic is not going away, and I'm sure you will join AM 560 The Answer again to give your viewpoint on this, and your very, very educated viewpoint. Thank you so much, as always, for coming on to Chicago's Morning Answer.
Thanks so much for having me again.
We'll be right back.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When your joints hurt every day and you've been told you need surgery, do your homework. Once a joint is replaced, there's no going back. Hey, it's Dan Proft. Before you schedule surgery, get a second opinion from my friends at QC Kinetics. I personally recommend them. Whether you're dealing with pain from bone-on-bone arthritis, torn meniscus, or years of wear and tear, surgery isn't your only conversation. Talk to Dr. Caravelli and her team at QC Kinetics. They use regenerative treatments to deliver relief to patients like you. You'll start with a medical evaluation, reviewing your history, any imaging, and the actual source of pain. If you're a good candidate, they'll concentrate tiny healing tools within your body right in the spot that's causing pain. The whole idea is to give you a real shot at holding off on surgery, or in some cases, avoiding it altogether. Don't accept surgery as your only option. Call QC Kinetics today for a second opinion. The conversation and consultation are free, and weekend appointments are available. Call 312-827-6261. Again, 312-827-6261. Once more, call 312-827-6261.
MyPillow is celebrating our country's 250th anniversary with savings up to 50% off their made-in-the-USA products. For example, get the queen-size premium MyPillow for $18.98 and the king-size for just $1 more. Get body pillows with a free pillowcase for only $39.98. Get the MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99 and $80 off the MyCross. All made right here in the USA. But there is so much more. In fact, they have over 200 products. Go to MyPillow.com and use promo code Chicago or call 800-489-0201 to check out all of the great products they are offering. Get everything from MyPillow blankets, sleepwear, kitchen towels, mattresses, duvets, pet beds, comforters, couch pillows, bathrobes, and so much more. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code Chicago to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products.
If you've saved $100,000 or more for retirement, call Steve Shyman today at 833-945-7283. That's 833-WILL-SAVE, 833-WILL-SAVE. Schedule your no-cost, no-obligation retirement review and make sure your plan is built to protect what you've worked so hard to earn. And don't forget to listen to Steve's show, Protecting Your Assets, Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. right here on AM 560. Call now, 833-945-7283.
Only on Salem Now, featuring one of Charlie Kirk's final interviews. The new documentary, Can You Hear Me Now?, investigates modern prophets and their divine messages.
Some people absolutely have the gift of prophecy.
If God exists, how would he inject his information into our world? More than likely, he would use humans.
Satan would love Christians to just be a spectator, not engage, not participate.
Is there something he's trying to say?
Can You Hear Me Now? Pre-order the movie by September 10th. Save 25% and get the DVD free at salemnow.com.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
When George Washington accepted command of the Continental Army, Americans were fighting a king and determined not to replace one form of unchecked power with another. Washington understood the difference between authority and ownership. In 1775, he declared, "When we assumed the soldier, we did not lay aside the citizen." Even as commander of America's army, Washington remembered that he remained one of the people and that the power entrusted to him was never his to keep. He did not fight to rule America, he fought so Americans could govern themselves. Washington's example gave the young nation something more than victory. It gave America a standard for leadership. Those who hold power must remain accountable to the people they serve, because in a free nation, leadership is not ownership. It is a duty and a trust.
AM 560, The Answer.
Yeah, that is the question, isn't it? Just what does a data center do? Well, me being a radio host, I need to fill time on a radio program, right? So when I was doing my radio show for about 15 years called The Michael Coolidge Show, it's regionally syndicated throughout Illinois, not in Chicago, but most other areas, and Michigan as well, and I was on Indiana for a little bit too, but mostly Illinois. I ended it in 2022 to run for Congress. I didn't win. But in 2022, AI was not a thing. I mean, it existed, obviously, but ChatGPT didn't exist, and Grok didn't exist. Twitter did, but not Grok. I use AI all the time now. Data centers essentially is the whole AI boom. So I could look into when I have a very short moment here on the show to like fill before we go to Mike Scott in the newsroom. I could look up into Google Gemini, give me a data center joke, and let's see what it says. Why do data center technicians love cold aisles so much? Because they like to keep their cool when everything else is crashing. Ha ha ha. See, AI just did that for me. AI just gave you that brilliant humor, and that AI is possible because of some data center somewhere. I know they do a lot more than that, but that's just an example. Anytime you use AI, which I know a lot more of us are using more and more of, the data centers enable that to work. All right, let us now turn it over to somebody who is not AI, Mike Scott in the newsroom. Take it away, Mike.
831, 69 degrees in the QC Kinetics newsroom. In Northwest Indiana, power outages continue for thousands of residents. Nearly 108,000 have not had electricity restored nearly a week after storms. A record amount of rain causing streams and rivers to flood their banks across the state of Indiana.
Johnny Green just gave up his flood insurance after paying off his home. He's injured and unable to work right now.
I've been off work now 6 weeks and I haven't had a paycheck, and short-term disability hasn't kicked in.
But it seems like everyone needs help.
Everybody needs help, not just me.
NBC's Maggie Vesta says evacuees in Indianapolis have been starting to return to their flooded-out homes along the White River. President Donald Trump has ordered the Pentagon to scale back annual joint military exercises with South Korea.
Ulchi Freedom Shield is a 10-day exercise that takes place around this time each year. We're told it'll reflect the changing character of war. That includes the use of unmanned systems, electronic warfare, and cyber operations. Commanders are also aware of the combat experience North Korean soldiers have gained fighting for Russia in Ukraine. While the Allies say the drills are defensive, Pyongyang denounces Ulchi Freedom Shield as a provocation. The United States and South Korea are in the process of handing over operational wartime control from Washington to Seoul. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
Authorities are seeking additional people who fired weapons during a weekend shooting at Virginia State University that left 5 severely hurt. A 19-year-old suspect is in custody. The mayor of Robbins is recovering after a shooting suspect was shot and killed by a security guard at a local restaurant Saturday. The security officer shot the gunman, identified as Markel Rose. Robbins Mayor Darren Bryant was not the target. He suffered a minor injury while seeking out safety. And the Cook County Sheriff's Office is warning the public about a phone scam. Officials say a caller IDs himself as a member of the Cook County Sheriff's Department and seeks payments for citations. Those calls will come from a number without caller ID. Sheriff's Office does not call to seek payments or notify individuals about citations, warrants, or even missing jury duty. Chicago sports. Bears running back Kyle Monangai left yesterday's practice with an apparent knee injury. The Bears prepping for the Bengals, a practice first and then their second preseason game on Saturday. Cardinals over the Cubs 11-4, capturing the rubber match of that set at Wrigley. Cubs host the White Sox tonight after the White Sox swept Detroit with a 7-5 Sunday win. The news service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the app, 560theanswer.com/mobile. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher can see what's happening.
The left and the Democrats think we're crazy for rolling out MAGA. They think we're the fascists, we're off the charts, we're off the rails, we're wild-eyed and crazy. And so their response is, let's be even crazier. Let's actually embrace literal communism.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you ever wondered, with all the different religions and interpretations of the Bible, how you can be sure that you're on the right path in your spiritual journey? The powerful new book, You and God by Peter Philippi, helps you answer this question and discover how to establish a truly personal relationship with God through biblical understanding and faith. Get your copy of You and God by Peter Philippi today by visiting pbmusa.org. That's pbmusa.org.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
At Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, going the distance for business banking clients is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, and a plan for growth. They do not have time to wait for answers. With Signature, you have a trusted banking partner focused on understanding your business and helping you move forward. When you have a question or need support, you want someone who will pick up the phone, respond to your text, and be there when it matters. That's Signature. We are a team that takes the time to understand you, your business, and your goals. Ready to become Signature's next success story? Call 773-467-5600 or visit signature.esquirebank.com. Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
8:38. Let's get an update on the roads. A service of Aleve CTA Blue Line right at UIC Halstead. Delays following an earlier mechanical problem along the Blue Line there, causing some delays for commuters this morning. Be aware along the Blue Line, Highland Park, an accident, Lake Cook Road, and Sheridan. 8094, reminder, the off-ramp to northbound Klein Avenue shut down. It's causing a bit of a slowdown and will till the end of the month. Tri-State accident, left lane blocked southbound at LaGrange Road. We're watching the Kennedy Express lanes jam up inbound Montrose to North Avenue. Well, at some point, body pain will creep in, and Aleve is here to keep you moving. One pill, 12 hours of body pain relief. Don't let pain hold you back. Try Aleve today. Use as directed. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now the morning forecast in our Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Partly sunny, not as warm, lower humidity, a high near 80, mainly clear, and 65 overnight.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest.
Welcome back to Chicago's Morning Answer. I am Mike Coolidge in for Dan Proft. And these 4 hours have flown by. We started the show talking about how really politics, when you boil it down, is about two things: educating voters and then getting voters to vote, right? We have debates about stuff and then we go out and go to the polls. Often we just do one or the other, which is really not how it's supposed to work. You got to do both, right? You got to be informed and then you got to get out and vote. And then there's people who study politics, political scientists and data scientists and statisticians who try to predict what's going to happen. And a lot of politicians and campaigners spend money on ads and campaigns based on what those polls are, how those polls are doing. We all remember the 2016 election. Hillary Clinton, was given something like a 95% chance of winning and had her leading in all the different swing states. And the curtains were already measured and knitted for the White House. Like they were on their way to the White House, the drapes in the Oval Office for her. And we all know what happened. And a lot of people don't know this, but our next guest does, I know. In 2020, the Biden versus Trump election, the pollsters were even more wrong about that election than they were about the 2016 election. And now we have very recent races, these primaries of the communist Marxists versus the non-communist Marxists, but still kind of socialist-y Democrats in the Michigan Senate race and then the Wisconsin Senate race. Joining us on the phone right now to discuss this is Liberty Vittert Capito. She's a professor of the practice of data science at Washington University in St. Louis. She's also, like almost all other data scientist professors you'll find if you look them up, a former cooking show host on Scottish television. Liberty Vittert Capito, welcome on to Chicago's Morning Answer.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I made a joke about you being a former cooking show host on Scottish television. I was trying to come up with the most random factoid about a guest as possible.
I think you succeeded.
Yeah, because that's true, right? You actually were.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get into that later if we have time. But I'm not joking. She actually did host a American cooking show on Scottish television. But what happened in these two states? You just wrote a piece in The Hill about this. Why were these pollsters so insanely wrong about both races?
You know, we keep seeing it over and over and over again since 2016, is pollsters keep forgetting about or not being able to reach one of the two normal people. I mean, go all the way back to high school. You remember this kid, there's always one kid in every high school who ran for student council who is, kind of dumb, but promised, free and unlimited chocolate milk fountains in the cafeteria. And that is your democratic socialist. And, what pollsters keep forgetting is that there were a whole lot of people who quietly hated that kid because he was a jerk. And they quietly voted for literally anyone else. And that is what we keep seeing over and over again.
So you think, or not just you think, I mean, you believe through data and what you study for a living that the voters were what? They were like shy voters? They thought that when they told the pollsters, the people who gave the answer to the pollsters, weeks and days ahead of time, they were just not telling the truth, or were they not? It wasn't the right sample size. Like, what happened as far as the actual conduction of the polls go? Do you think?
We've seen it as two things. We've either seen shy voters, so people are asked who they're going to vote for, and they say, I don't know. I haven't decided yet, even though they definitely know who they're going to vote for. In which case, what we've seen in sort of test cases is if pollsters ask the right question, instead of saying, who are you going to vote for, if they say, who's your family going to vote for? Or who are your friends going to vote for? Then all of a sudden they get much better answers. It's just we haven't got pollsters haven't evolved yet to answer those. Or they just don't answer the polls. I always think about it when I sort of get lost in the numbers. I think about my dad. I mean, he's a swing voter if you've ever known one, but he would have walked to Michigan to vote against Dr. El Sayed if he could have. And, he would never have talked to a pollster in a million years. He'd never tell some stranger on the phone who he's voting for. But he would have done anything because he's a normal guy and with normal ideas. And the pollsters keep forgetting about these people.
Just to put some numbers on this, talking about Wisconsin first, which again is we have many listeners in Wisconsin, just north of the Cheddar Curtain, as Dan calls it. The Milwaukee County executive, David Crowley, who wound up winning, was like 22 points down on this Francesca Hong candidate, the DSA crazy who didn't like Thanksgiving and said a bunch of other wild things about defunding the police or dismantling the police, but then didn't really walk it back that strongly. He was out of the race entirely, this David Crowley guy, like a month ago. He winds up winning. She was winning by 22 points. And then in Michigan, the Al Sayed, who we talked about earlier with Scott Bertram in Michigan this morning, he was also up by double digits, 13 points. He was leading his opponent, and he only wound up winning by 1 point. So, as somebody who studies this for a living, the double-digit change that quickly, people who just consume the news look at this and just mistrust pollsters now. Is it safe to do that, considering, too, what we introed with, the 2016 election and then the 2020 election, these big, massive national stories, pollsters seem to, this is a trend, not an outlier, they seem to just keep getting them wrong.
I think that's a really fair point, and I think that pollsters haven't figured it out yet. They really, starting in 2016, they had a hard time realizing how to reach people and realizing how to reach the right people, and that's one of the biggest issues we now see with primaries. Is that we have these such extreme candidates right now, and especially when one of those threatens to walk off with a nomination, we see independents and crossover voters from the other party often show up now to right the ship, but they weren't asked or they weren't polled. And these pollsters really need to reevaluate how they're doing these polling to be able to get what we call the normies and the non-crazy people.
Do you agree that Republican candidates are almost always underrepresented in the polls? Like Trump always overperforms in his elections. He's been on the national ballot 3 times, and he's overperformed in all 3 elections. And more importantly, like in the Michigan race, Mike Rogers right now, according to a recent Fox poll, is up by 4 over the Democrat Al Sayed. Is it, if you were a betting woman, would you say he actually is probably going to win by a little bit more than that, all other things being equal?
I think it's a question of whether it's Republican or Democrat. I think a lot of it has to do with the extremes. We saw the Republican version of this take place in Minnesota. Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy, was by far the favorite. And he was beaten in what amounted to I think it was a 17-point swing between the last poll and the final result. So, yes, we're seeing it mostly on the Republican side, but I think we're really seeing it on the extreme candidate side. But, when you bring up Mike Rogers, I think he's going to win by a lot more than 4 points because, again, you're going to have those same quiet voters saying, I don't want this Dr. Al Sayed guy. I mean, we've gone to a point where these, sort of extreme candidates are able to win some of these nominations. And I think, there's hope actually in our country that there's going to be people who show up to say that they're not going to allow this to change our country.
Liberty Vittert, you are the sister, I understand, of Leland Vittert. I've been on television with him before when he used to be with Fox, and now he's at News Nation. I think Dan Proft, the regular host of the show, has been on with him as well. You are brother and sister, right?
Yeah. That's him. He's downstairs with my baby right now.
Oh, that's sweet. Tell him hello. I hope he remembers me. Actually, he wrote a really he had a really amazing thing he wrote about autism, which I messaged him about a couple of months ago, and he responded back really graciously. But the story that we led with about you hosting a cooking show years ago, and you're not exactly a Gen Xer or a baby boomer. You're a young person. How did you host a show in Scotland about cooking while also studying to be a data scientist, which is what you are currently? Tell that story, please, to our listeners, because it's fascinating.
Well, I had a really great dad who said that, you got to do something before you start your life and your career because you're not going to be able to get a break later. And off I went to cooking school, and he was right because now it's the number one thing everyone wants to talk to me about, and I've gotten jobs off of it, and my career has worked well off of it. So I will say this to any dads out there that, encourage your kids to do things that they love as well as things they're good at that they can actually earn money at, but that all the things that they love, because it ends up working out for them in the end.
And in your case, you loved cooking, and I assume you still do love cooking, and you somehow got onto Scottish television because you were a grad student there at the time or something? Like how did that happen?
I was a grad student, and I think I annoyed the executive of the television station enough that he finally said, if you'll go away and stop bothering me, I'll give you a cooking show. So off I went, cooking away throughout Scotland, and it was a blast. And I just hope the clips aren't available on YouTube.
I think they are. I watched a clip of it, and it was brilliant. But there's here in the United States, if you're British or Scottish, you can make it on huge national TV. Like James Corden had a show for years, and the Scottish comedian whose name I'm forgetting, he had the Late Late Show, Craig Ferguson. For years. Yeah. So I always wonder if Americans ever try to do that same kind of thing in other countries, because, we have interesting accents compared to theirs, and you did it. And you're the only person I know who's done that, who's like an American, even if it was a one season thing. That's just super cool. But I don't think you're ever going to live that down. And there's so many worse things to have in your background than hosting a cooking show on Scottish TV. I think it's super cool and interesting. But unfortunately, it wasn't about Scottish food. It was about American food. So it's not like you can tell us anything we probably don't already know, right?
I'm not, with all due respect to Scotland, I don't think you really want to know much about Scottish food. I think American food is far superior. I don't think you're missing out on anything.
I love it. All right. Well, and you, and how do you pronounce your last name? Because I heard your brother pronounce it one way, but then I've heard it pronounced another way. How do you pronounce your last name now?
Oh, it's Vittert Capito.
Capito. It is Capito. Okay. All right. Well, Liberty Vittert Capito, thank you so much for coming on to Chicago's Morning Answer, and we hope you have a wonderful week.
Thanks for having me.
We will be right back.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You've worked hard for everything you have. Your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. Choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.
Then we thought, what if something happens to him?
Or what if the kids can't agree? We've seen money tear families apart.
We called Home State Bank, and I wish we'd done it sooner. Home State Bank serves as trustee or executor for families across Northern Illinois, stepping in as the professional, impartial manager of your estate so your family doesn't have to carry that burden. They don't take sides, and they'll carry out your wishes exactly as you intended. Take the first step today by calling 815-459-2000 to meet with a trust officer face-to-face. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Home State Bank. Hometown professionals working together to build a stronger community since 1915.
QC Kinetics helps active people stay active. People like David Boardman, police officer, competitive athlete, and gym owner who trains hard almost every day.
My body's taken a lot of abuse over the years. I've had multiple knee surgeries on both of my knees. I could barely run a mile prior to going to QC Kinetics. Doctors have all told me, hey, you are going to need knee replacements.
But QC Kinetics gave David great news.
We're going to give you the opportunity to have not one, but 2 healthy knees, and we don't have to cut you open.
And after David's regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics?
Since I've gone to them, I run 20, 30 miles a week. I really wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for QC Kinetics.
From knee pain to Ironman training.
It's a no-brainer.
Now it's your turn. Call QC Kinetics to book your free consultation today.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. 312-827-6261.
The following contains a celebrity impersonation.
Mr. President, we're seeing reporting that air conditioning systems are failing as temperatures rise. What is your response?
I said, don't wait. People wait until the last second, then suddenly it's hot and nothing works. I understand this stuff probably better than anybody.
Mr. President, why hasn't the White House issued any guidance?
I gave perfect guidance. Call Air Right Heating and Cooling. That's the guidance. If people followed it, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
Sir, but homeowners have so many HVAC options.
They're not like Air Right. You got some bad installers out there, some real bad hombres. I wouldn't let them near the White House. It would be a complete disaster.
Mr. President, there are reports of significant rebates on new systems. Can you confirm?
I've heard about them. A lot of people talking about them. If you miss out, you'd have to be really not so smart. Tremendous savings, let me tell you.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling at AIR-RITE.com. Air Right, doing it right since 1959.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $3 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, did you ever track down that missing warehouse key?
I forgot all about it.
You forgot? You said that guy was furious when you had to let him go.
That doesn't matter anymore. Goldilocks set us up with new managed access control. We're keyless now. Everyone has a card or fob. Even their phone works.
Huh. You don't have to worry about people copying keys either.
Yeah, never again. Goldilocks allows me to handle everything from my phone or laptop. I can see who came into the building, when they left, restrict their access at night. I can grant temporary access to visitors, too. It takes 30 seconds to add or remove someone.
That sounds a lot safer and simpler.
Stop guessing who has access to your building. Set up access controls today by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600 or visit GoldilocksInc.com. Goldilocks. Security under your control.
AM 560. The Answer.
Randy, fine.
Yeah, you should be glad.
But here's why they have to do this. Why are they they're trying to replace their insidious beliefs with something that the public values, which is beauty and charisma. Why persuade when you can seduce? It's the same visual cues. We have these visual cues that we assign to trustworthy people, and they want you to assign them to people who are creeps. Gavin Newsom, Ilhan Omar, Graham Plattner. They even said, remember they said Graham Plattner was attractive? This is why I really value homely people and why I get up and watch Fox and Friends every morning, because they have to outpersuade, they have to outthink everybody because they start in a looks deficit. But it's not just looks, it's also ideas. Seduction plays a role in ideas. So socialism is based on the sugar rush of free stuff, something for nothing. Capitalism is the guy who runs the factory down the block. Socialism is the drug dealer on the corner. You know, who's cooler, who's edgier? Republicans, they want to fight the high cost of living. They go after taxes, overregulation, housing supply. You know, it's all worthwhile, but good luck explaining it. You know, meanwhile, a socialist can say, here's more stuff. See, you're dealing with a drug dealer, you know, fighting an entity that promises you quick, easy gratification, but it's going to destroy you in the end.
Greg Gutfeld on Fox, or on The Five on Friday. That is going to do it for this hour. I'm so thrilled to be filling in on Mike Coolidge's 9 o'clock on WIND Chicago.
It set up a ceasefire that got blown up and the framework for a deal that got scrapped. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A memorandum of understanding is expiring 60 days after the U.S. and Iran signed it. And while President Trump tells Fox Iran should give up, Fox's Jonathan Savage reports it has different plans.
A senior unnamed Iranian official has told Reuters the country's decided to shift its policy from defensive to a fully offensive one, with a threat to escalate tensions across the Middle East if diplomacy fails. President Trump, who declared the memorandum dead last month, told Fox News he's not in a hurry and Iran should put up the white flag of surrender.
The president said that in a phone call with Fox's Trey Yingst.
The president also warned that he would bomb the S out of Oman if they got in the way, as reports indicate ongoing talks between Iran and Oman about control of the strait. Now, international shipping data indicated only 5 cargo ships passed through the strait on Saturday and none on Sunday.
The president also posted on Truth Social his number one goal remains Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And Trey also reports from Tel Aviv.
Trump administration officials, including Jared Kushner, are in the region pursuing diplomatic avenues to address the ceasefire in Gaza. Kushner met Sunday in Egypt with Hamas chief Khalil al-Hayya to solidify the process for Hamas to lay down their weapons in Gaza.
Israel's rejected that plan. Kushner meets today with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Another loss for the president at the Supreme Court. The justices this morning refused to consider a Trump attempt to have a New York jury verdict thrown out. It awarded author E. Jean Carroll $5 million, deciding the president defamed Carroll, denying her claims he sexually abused her in the 1990s. The president's also appealing an $83 million second verdict. An actress, Hayden Panettiere, has died.